And even if you were to have like a prompt of 10 different things, right? Like say if you had one prompt of like, oh, like here's 10 different personality traits, here's 10 different superpowers, here's 10 different drawbacks.
I like coming up with random list of powers and then just see what I come up with.
Imagine rolling just those things every single time. It's always going to vary. The possibility of that happening is, again, like a 1 in 10 chance, but it's like, it shows that there's an infinite possibility.
Always something else cool right around the corner that we can come up with, because there's no end to the prompts. There's no end to what we can roll up.
We're going to be officially rolling for superpowers. This is usually the make or break.
Ayo and hello everybody, and welcome to a wonderful Wednesday. It is my favorite day. You know what day it is. Welcome to Roll for Hero, a segment of our channels in which we let the dice dictate what on God's green earth we will be drawing today. Guys, it is an exciting day because it is not just an amazing Wednesday for Roll for Hero, but it is the season finale of Roll for Hero. We have officially reached 12 whole episodes. Guys, I know that's kind of a bit of a weird, obscure number, but if you actually see the amount of like letters and the number 4 in Roll for Hero, that's ROLLHERO, and then of course it's the whole thing, it works out just well. Guys, I am excited. I am ecstatic. I cannot wait to see what we're going to roll today as a final character for our season 1 of this entire thing. Mr. Fish, how are we doing today? How's life going and such?
Man, it is going good. Things have been rocking along. Got sick, which stunk a little bit. We got COVID come through the house again, which, at least for me at this point, it's like, I don't know, the 5th or 6th time. So it's a lot less problem than it used to be. But so got sick, missed out on a chance to go see the grandbabies. But that's okay. Got some work done and getting back at it. I am working on my first mini comic for a client, which is really cool to have a commission job doing a mini comic because I love them. And so I'm doing that, and I'm also printing and shipping them out to him. So that's going to be a fun first for me. Looking forward to it. Glad to be here. It's awesome to be at the end of the first season already, even if Kyron has only been able to tune in like one time.
Come on, Kyron.
It's a shame.
Other than that, though, this is exciting. I mean, for some reason, I thought to myself when we started this whole thing that 12 would be the number. And the reason why 12 is just because, again, of ROLL and then 1, 2, 3, 4 and then HERO. Like, so it works. It worked really well. It's a nice rounded off number. And not only that, once you really think about it, especially now with the new ways that we're structuring out rolling characters, it's only utilizing 2 of your classic D6s or, typical board game dice, which the highest number you can roll is 12. So it kind of works out that way. But outside of that, though, I'm going to be, I'm excited. I love Wednesdays as it is. And the fact that we have reached the finale of season 1 of the show is fantastic. The fact that we have drawn such crazy, cracked out characters, the fact that you guys in the chat have been chucking out some awesome suggestions.
Oh, man, we could do 10 seasons on just the ideas that like R.S. Shepard or Dadpool have kicked out alone. Like each one of them could be a season of their own stuff. No problem.
And the fact that we basically created borderline, like franchises based off of some crazy ideas of just characters that we rolled here. Again, I always reference the cyberpunk and the steampunk universe just because that we created so many characters in those worlds. And then not only that, the fact that we created the first character that we ended up rolling up, the fantasy characters with elemental abilities. When I created Oak Fang for the Primal Empire, and we got Slate Stone Carver for Mr. Fish's side of things, the Gentleman Thief and whatnot. Like, it's crazy to think, and never in my entire life have I ever thought that we would be drawing any of those characters. I would have never conceived the notion of drawing these characters had it not been for the amazing suggestions that you guys in the chat have been chucking at us, and of course, the random rolls of the dice themselves. So, Mr. Fish, I believe I've been talking and yapping for way too long, so I think it's about time we show them what we ended up rolling last week. Okay, so last week we actually had an amazing guest, Ethan, who is simply known as Obsidian Crown. He's an amazing guy on TikTok. Also on YouTube, he does, YouTube content creation, comic book creation. He was on our show last week, and we essentially rolled up all the same powers, but we've done some different. We ended up rolling like different animals with it. So for me, if I can actually check the thing and the powers and whatnot, because I totally know powers and all that kind of stuff. So we ended up rolling a full-blown so it's a failed or a successful government experiment with 4 major powers, 1 minor power, and those powers being telekinesis, transformation of matter, animal powers, in which case I rolled a pigeon and Mr. Fish took the ox roll, and of course immortality, acrobatics. And the powers only activate by a type of oath. And not only that, their motivation for doing what they're doing is that they're being hunted down by their creator and they're on the run. So, of course, this is my character up here. This is Pigeon Forge, not just a little segment in Tennessee. But I thought the idea for him was that since he could transform matter, I can imagine he could take his feathers and like kind of pluck them out, and he can transform the matter of his feathers and turning them into like little throwing daggers and little throwing darts and whatnot. We are doing fantastic. Mark the Shark 7588. We are doing fantabulous. So I'm just showing off my character that I did for our segment last week, and I ended up rolling a pigeon just because it was one of the animals on the chart that we ended up having there, or at least the list that I managed to conjure up. So of course,
you gotta have your scary things like sharks and tigers, and then you gotta have like pigeons every once in a while.
Yeah, exactly. So and of course, if you guys want to see what Ethan ended up doing, make sure after this stream you go check out the stream from last week where you get to see that he used the same powers but created a ratatouille or a rat-based kind of a character. It was a lot of fun. It was just a whole blast putting that together. So, of course, this here is Pigeon Forge. And I decided to go for a tactical look because he's kind of like, I guess, Running Man style. Like the guy is wearing, tactical gear to an extent as he's like on the run from his creator kind of a thing. So that's my rendition. Like maybe he's a soldier because of the dog tags and whatnot. So I can see this character like being on the run from a government experiment type situation. Maybe he was successful in being part of a weird mutant project of some kind. Who knows? We'll figure that out if I ever decide to turn this thing into an actual comic one day. Probably not going to happen. Maybe it will. Maybe I won't. It's all over the place. But enough of Pigeon Forge over here. Mr. Fish, what did you come up with?
I came up with this guy, and I believe, I can't remember if it was Dadpool or R.S. Shepard that came up with Dachshund as a name, but I thought that was pretty cool. And I took an idea for a character that I was already playing around with and then used these prompts to bring him to life. And so in this idea, during this experiment, working, like trying to crack between dimensions, this hammer rod thing comes through, this weapon comes through to this world, and it's the item, the totem, the thing that connects between these two dimensions. So when somebody grabs it on this end, they trade places with the being from the other dimension. So they transmute their own matter from one dude into the other in this travel across dimensions. They become this giant oxen dude, and then the host is stuck in this other dimension full of all kinds of crazy monsters. And then this dude is here as this big, massive, like, hero. And, being hunted by the people that created this experiment. They want to try and master all this, but he's not the type of dude to be mastered. Like, sort of like, what if you had to switch places with Thor when you transformed into Thor in the beginning? Like, the idea of having to deal with like an ancient godlike being as your alter ego in this, like Dr. Fate, like having to try and argue with the Fate helmet about like letting you go so that you can go see your kids and not just be Dr. Fate all the time. Like, it's such a great opportunity for cool storytelling. So, that's my idea, that it transforms you into this dude. You switch places, and now I'm stuck in another dimension somewhere on the run from monsters, and he's here trying to save the day in a world he doesn't understand. And just lots of great possibilities. And then, the thought of having a big badass acrobatic ox flying around and throwing stuff around. And my idea for this weapon has always been that it's somewhat telekinetic, like Mjolnir, and like, he can call it back to his hand and things like that. So when I got all these prompts, it just all hit on the same character that I was already kind of wanting to do. I was thinking Blue Alien, but the Ox is pretty funny too.
And not only that, it's not an animal, because when one of them was animal-based abilities, I have the chart of other different animals in there. Again, had it not been for that chart, we wouldn't have drawn our cougar themed super villainesses, you know. But and also being able to create characters of this kind of caliber. So I mean, and again, not only that, but understand that we took the same prompt, but we made two completely different
Very,
characters
very
out of it.
different characters. And like the same power set and stuff, and you're like shooting out metal feathers and stuff, and you know, my dude's wielding a giant hammer. Like that's the thing I like about these prompts is, you know, yeah, you get things like, you know, oh, what is it, like energy
Like
creation or
elemental
whatever,
control.
elemental control, but that it's open ended for a reason, so that you know you could be an earthbender if you wanted to, you could have like rock skin like the thing if you wanted to, you could, you know, shoot ice like Iceman if you wanted to, or be storm, or you could take that any direction you want to go with it. I like the prompts being kind of vague and open ended because that gives you the possibility to make whatever you want out of it and not be stuck to, you have the ability to run at 55 miles an hour. You know, like that's cool, but you know, what if I want to be able to run up buildings or something, you know, or you know, turn back time?
Exactly. And again, that's what I love about this show is that again, we would never think to ever create characters of this kind of nature. It's only until we really have to push the creativity. We're just given a prompt and getting to see two different artists get to create two very different characters and you know just kind of see how our mentality works when it comes down to designing characters, knowing how their powers work. The interpretation of how powers work is always something interesting. Hey, listen, these ideas are only as good as the ideas of y'all kind of chucking them right at us. Again, one of my
Oh
favorite
yeah,
examples.
we get little kernels of ideas, but they don't get honed to a razor's edge until all the other stuff starts coming from the comments
Pretty
and
much.
spurring us on and showing us places where it can be polished and it can be sharpened and it can be made more interesting. So it's really thanks to the whole creative journey of everybody involved here. Thank you very much. Yeah,
Of course. And I
they've been
mean,
a lot of
again,
fun.
without you guys, we wouldn't be able to create the characters, you know, that we would be making on this show. Again, the best example, hold on a second here. Imagine Pigeon Force through a feather made of every known material on the planet. That is dangerous. And that's why he's on the run. The government wants him because of that. Right?
Absolutely,
But
man.
just like I was saying, though, it's the fact that, you know, y'all come up with some amazing ideas. We kind of take those ideas and the best example of it was the American Eagle episode where we took the public domain character of the American Eagle and we made two completely different renditions of this character. But the stories and the ideas for, I'm not going to lie, Mr. Fish's rendition of American Eagle, I would 100% run on that idea alone. And then tying in the birds of a feather, probably chucking in Pigeon Forge in there. And then my weird, horrifying, you know, Frankenstein, you know, werewolf monster, putting that in there. That would already be an intensive set of like craziness that I would love to dive into and to explore more. But again, these are all just fun ideas that you guys helped us create. And again, if you guys want to join along the journey, grab yourself a writing utensil, get yourself something to draw on top of, whether if it's your tablet, paper, pencil, your homework. Probably don't do that last one. And well, I think it's about time that we get ourselves all set and take the dice and begin our show as is. So how about we do our thing?
Let's see. I was not prepped for the video.
That's totally fine.
I was looking for a piece of scrap paper to write on, and I forgot all about getting prepped
all
for
right,
the
everybody, if
video.
you guys want to join along, please grab some dice for yourself. Grab some dice, grab your pencils, grab a surface to draw on, and let us roll for a hero. So I've officially created an entire list of settings so that way we can properly roll up, you know, how we're going to get this all done. And to think about it, guys, this is the last character of season 1. Who knows? Maybe we might create an entire season 1 poster filled to the brim with all the characters that we have drawn up thus far.
That would be pretty.
Would you guys want to get that? Would you guys want to purchase those, you know, an item of that kind of caliber? Would you want to partake in owning a piece of history? Please let us know.
Let's see.
That is
7.
7.
Urban modern.
Urban and modern. Oh, so this ain't no cyberpunk. This ain't no steampunk. This is like today, the here and now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that limits a little bit how crazy I can go, but that's okay.
True,
That's
but limitations are always leaves room for creativity. Limitations force us to be creative.
Now our origins. Let's try 2 more dice and see what we get.
Slash.
Oh man, come on! They're right inside the doorway. Come here. I made the decorative teeth on the front of Castle Grayskull a little too big, so every once in a while the dice catch back there, especially the square ones. Okay, 8 years of training. Okay, gave us these abilities. So that's one I have not got yet. I've been kind of waiting for that. And that doesn't mean that years of training couldn't give us like teleportation or something, because like the Green Llama, like his powers came from, learning all these, crazy techniques of the ancient yogis and whatnot. So
that's true.
All right. What power sets are we going to get? Let's see. 5, 6, 7, 8. 3 major powers. We are packing heat, though not necessarily as bad as we were last week.
All right, listen, we got 4 major powers and a minor power. I think I have to fix that portion of the list there.
All right, let's see. 3 major powers now. What are we going to get for number 1? We get 8 again. Transform matter.
Transform matter. And if you guys have any awesome superpower suggestions, be sure to leave them in the chat, so then that way we can look back at them again and put them in our new season 2 list that we're going to be trying to get all up and on the go. So please chuck some awesome ideas.
New set of prompts for next time to come around.
We actually, if anything, the one superpower that we need to put on the list so that you have the chance to roll it is subtitles. I know that that's the one that you always wanted to roll up.
I hate that one so much. Oh man, it launched right off the board.
Oh no! Here, I'll make a roll from over here.
I got it. That is 5 altogether, which is elemental control.
Already, elemental control and transform matter. Okay, wait, hold up.
All right, and let's try.
Okay, hold on. I got something forming in my head here.
Is 11.
Evelyn. Ooh. I don't know why. As soon as I heard healing factor, I instantly thought of like Batman learning techniques from the Tibetan monks or some junk like that.
Man, that's a lot of stuff to learn, and I forgot all about the years of training part. I suddenly was thinking of like a lava monster that could heal himself back up, but I can't train myself into being a lava monster. I forgot about that aspect. That is going to make this more interesting.
Okay, hold on. There are some really cool power suggestions. Mark the Shark, love telekinesis. I'm here for that. Jordan VT40J, stretching. I don't know why I didn't even have that power. That is. Come on, man. I'm the comic book. Literally, this is my whole gimmick, and I don't even have stretching powers. And then matter eating. I mean, well, matter eater lad. I know that's the character.
I have a character along that lines that's absolutely terrifying. Telekinesis.
Okay, hold on. This is interesting. Iron Fist from the mystical dimension. Loki, that's what this is kind of sounding like a little bit. All right, so for those that are following along and are trying to draw along with us,
show the minor power list. I got you.
Oh, the minor power list. Yep. And for the minor power list, we have light, body weapons, energy projections, enhanced senses, acrobatics, hand-to-hand combat, side changes. I think I meant to do something different with that. That's on me. I don't know what I meant by
size changing. That's what you
size change. That's on me. And then we have change density, and then we have magic, camouflage, and then enhance endurance. So that's going to be awesome. We got, what about cosmic energy? That is interesting. All right, so we have imagine the origin similar to the TMNT, and the origins being in the origins being mutated. or getting mutated. So like maybe maybe we got mutated in an urban setting, or like your character might get mutated in an urban setting, and all of a sudden with your mutations, you now have to hone in your craft. In years of training, you had to learn how to work with your abilities.
They
Not a
suddenly
bad
got
one.
their powers and then took years of training to get them under control. Like Dragon Gaming says, that's a good idea.
That's a solid one. A character that can eat anything, that's like Matter Eater Lag. That's a really good one. Dark Force manipulation. But then the question is, what is Dark Force?
Yeah.
Those are the questions we need to ask here.
Which, see, those are the kind of things that I would put under, like, energy manipulation. Like, it could be green hard light constructs of a,
like Green Lantern.
Of a Green Lantern, or it could be like, force fields like Sue Storm, or it could be shadow forming into solid objects, or, whatever you wanted it to. Okay, now we got the optional modifiers list.
Oh, the optional modifiers. I almost forgot about those. I love Technomancy, not a bad one. There we go.
6, 7, 8, 9. Powers only work at night or day.
No! Oh! No! I hate that modifier.
Or we could add the numbers the other way and get 9, and then it's the same thing.
It doesn't matter. No.
It's not like rolling 2 10 sides and getting, 98 or 89.
The funny thing is, for kicks and giggles, I was like, oh, what if I rolled a different? I rolled 9 as well. I was destined to have my powers work in night or day.
Well, and see, like if we rolled 2, powers come from the suit, that would go completely against learning this by training our bodies to be able to do it. Or, powers come from an artifact, maybe. The oath one wouldn't be a bad one. Or, some of these
powers,
things.
The more you use it, the more like faster it runs out. That one's actually not a bad one.
I really like that one. A friend of mine did a book about a hero that got these like magic gauntlets, and he knew they only had so much energy in them, but he couldn't like not save the day. But the real kicker was he just loved flying, and so he would just fly and feel free between things, knowing he was burning out his power as he did it, but he just loved it so much. And then there comes a time he's got to go save the day, and he takes off flying knowing he's never coming back. And it was so beautiful. It was such a good book. Oh, I loved it so much. Anyway, we're getting off topic here.
So then we got to show this one off over here. You can always do rock, paper, scissors between the two of y'all to do a reroll to see what powers each of y'all get different.
That's not a bad idea, Cedric. That's not a bad idea at all.
Probably for season 2. Who knows?
Yeah, we might have to add that in. Oh, that would be funny if we got like certain cards we could use like once a season, like a Uno reverse or stuff.
Oh.
Be like, oh, I'm going to switch this, or I get to pick which one I want on this roll. Ooh. Or and have like a handful of special things we could use. That would be cool.
And then imagine the powers being from an alien device or an alien suit or an alien parasite. So think like Shazam, the Omnitrix, not Shazam, Venom, the Omnitrix, something of that nature. Of course, we got Jordan over here saying Shazam's powers being a very interesting one, like being able to call, whatever to activate your powers. Then we have over here, they could train to harness the power of the sun or the moon. Feels like what we did last time with the Birds of a Feather sisters, in my opinion. Honestly, I think that's just now their definitive title, Birds of a Feather. I think that's their de facto name now. Modifier, mentality limitation. Ooh, probably got to keep that one down. And then we got
that reminds me of an idea I had for a character that I was planning on using in my role playing game. And would like to put in a book someday, but they're kind of a side character. But it's essentially kind of like Captain Planet, except like the 5 people that join together to make the hero actually get consumed into the hero, and like they disappear, and then one hero comes out the other side. And
Okay.
but whoever is like the dominant personality or having the strongest emotions at the time that they combine together is the one that ends up taking charge, and the hero takes the like energy form and stuff of that person's strengths and their temperament. So if somebody's like really pissed off going into this, that would make for a fiery, character
Right.
on the other side that's a lot more hot-headed and a lot more ready to kill
It's
people or whatever. But
it the character you're describing is like almost an Alien X from Ben 10 because there's three personalities. There's the one who's all
kind of,
like
yeah.
emotional, then you have the one that's all logical, and then in the case of Alien X, it's Ben who's supposed to be the mediator. Also,
Yeah.
we have this one over here from Benjamin being possibly getting powers from a god or a pantheon. That's another good modifier that we need to add in there.
Hmm. Well,
'Cause then
that's
we get to
one
play
we need.
different-
Yeah, that's what we need to put in, like the
Yeah,
how we get our powers in the beginning.
that's
a good
true.
one.
And then we got a hero who is trained by a mentor from being from a big trouble linked China neighborhood. Has powers and has to defeat a villain. Imagine the power source of chi. Ooh, that's a pretty good one. All right, and then we got Benjamin saying the ability to create minions like demons, dragons, monsters, etc. Oh, like get into. Ooh, that's a pretty good one. I like that.
Mhm.
I believe this one says like firestorm. I'm believing it's like matter or like
Yeah,
atom
which is
manipulation.
matter
Yeah.
transmutation.
And then, do you guys like Heroes for Hire with Luke Cage and Iron Fist? Unfortunately, I've never read many of those, or I have not read any of those kind of books personally.
They weren't my favorite books, but I like the idea, which is, that's the thing. Here, I'm going to move some of this around a little bit and get us in the right places, and take that off and turn that on. Except that moved us again. And shuffle, 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 toil and trouble. Here we go on the double. All right, there we go. Now we're all nice and lined up. It will be neat. It'll be easy to edit these into us working with our images.
Honestly, yeah, because putting them in the, I can imagine putting these in shorts is very tedious sometimes.
Oh yeah. And then of course,
right, so
every
now-
time we like take a comment and put it on the screen, that messes out the whole layout, and then everything gets out of order.
I mean, unless we show the chat as we're streaming, so that way it's like
Yeah, which let's give that a shot and see how that does for a little while. Until we get one of those hahoos on here that wants to go talking crazy talk. But
yeah.
that would be cool. The whole public domain characters, though. There's a whole lot of just like American Eagle and Bald Eagle, and like a lot of the same.
There are
characters
lots of
that were
eagles
created at the same time.
Yeah, a lot of I love the public domain stuff too, but I think I might do an entire. I was just talking to Mr. Fish about this before we started doing what I call the ultra value series, where I just at that point just make 100% knockoffs, not public domain renditions. Just like I'll take the character and then kind of like Watchmen it, where like again, if you know the original thing of Watchmen, you guys know that they basically took a bunch of characters that were bought by Charlton, so Blue Beetle, Peacemaker, and like a few other characters here and there, and they basically took those characters and or Alan Moore just made knockoff characters of the Charlton characters, which is honestly something I might have to do because y'all give out some really awesome suggestions, and unfortunately I don't know a lot of those superhero teams that y'all keep chucking at me sometimes. Like I know of Wildcats, but I don't read or have never saw the cartoon or anything like that.
Yeah, you're the wrong age for Wildcats. Like that was prime Image when they first came out.
Yeah.
And and didn't really last real long past that. Like it was really cool, but at the time, but it didn't have the staying power that a lot of things did.
Yeah, because I remember I keep getting the comment of like I should do a Wildcat knockoff and call them Savage Dogs, and I'm like, man, it sounds like they got the idea better down than I ever could.
Mm-hmm. That's like my rip-off Ninja Turtle idea I tried pitching to Mirage Comics, not realizing that Mirage Comics were Eastman and Laird, the guys that,
That actually made.
I was making fun of in my letter. Let's see. I missed a couple of comments here.
Yeah, no, here. What do we crazy public?
Yes, I do love. I freaking love Big Trouble in Little China. That is still like one of my all-time favorite movies. I love it. I don't want my wife to know how much I love Big Trouble in Little China, or she may question our marriage because I love that freaking movie.
Isn't that I know that's a movie with what's his face from Tron. Why is his name not coming up?
No, it's married to Goldie Hawn. Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell.
He's a star in it, and then it's got like, I can't remember his name. It's got the Chinese guy that did the voice for like every Chinese character in animation for decades. That tall, skinny dude, like he was like the main demon villain. So it was good. I loved it so much. Let's see. I love the Jackie Chan Adventures too. That was so good.
Oh, that was my favorite cartoon growing up.
I love that so much. My Basset Hound we used to have was almost named Jackie Chan because of that cartoon. They ended up naming him Flash because they thought if they named him after a superhero, he'd be able to run real fast. Turns out he's still a Basset Hound. But I loved it because the Basset Hound in Dukes of Hazzard was named Flash. So everybody thinks I named the dog, but actually my kids named him after the Flash superhero. That was hilarious. Actually his first costume for Halloween too.
I got to figure out what zebra powers are. That sounds hilarious.
Oh man. Fast, strong, deadly kicks. Zebras are dangerous.
I mean, animals in general are dangerous. It's just the fact that you got to push them to that limit. Like, and elephants are very calm creatures, to my knowledge. I know nothing of that, but you get them to defend themselves. Yeah, they're going to be very violent creatures.
Oh, but zebras are dangerous. Like zebras are like up there with hippos. Like they will flat murk you. They're one of the most dangerous things to have to deal with in the zoo besides like chimps. They are way more dangerous. They are not horses, but like horses grew up, like they evolved on like, the plains of Spain and stuff in Europe with no natural predators hunting them, where zebras evolved with lions and tigers and stuff hunting them and cheetahs and whatnot. So they are a kill first and ask questions later species. And like, that's why you never saw anybody like taming them to like ride them into war or something like you can a horse, because they will not put up with that mess. They will kick you in the head and kill you. They are much more dangerous than they look in the cartoons.
Well, then again, that's Africa for you in most cases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just like the hippo, like everybody's like, oh, they're so cute and fat, and they just lumber around. They kill more people in Africa than anything. Like they are the deadliest.
You worry about the lions. No, you got to worry about them hippos.
Oh yeah. Well, nobody is stupid enough. I mean, a couple people are stupid enough, but the majority of people aren't stupid enough to think they could walk up to a lion. They see a lion, they know they're in danger. They see a hippo and they're like, oh, how cute and fat, and don't realize how fast they move or how aggressive they are or how deadly those tusks are in their mouth. Like they will they may be vegetarians, but they will flat eviscerate you without a second thought. But again, they deal with, caiman and crocodiles and stuff all the time.
They're in an environment where they have to learn how to defend themselves, while some animals can't do that. So it's survival of the fittest. And then we have another one here. What do you think about Betty Boop about to be in the public domain? Honestly, I'm totally for it. I get to ship her with Popeye the Sailor Man, and they get to raise Tintin and his dog. So I get to win on that end of life. No, but honestly, It's actually very interesting. It's a lot of fun getting to see characters like those finally get to the public domain. I again, I've always think it's very fascinating and stuff of that nature. What's it called? Or you guys can do the concept like Street Sharks. Interesting. Imagine if the bird aliens had rivalry with with a race of aliens based off of insects like Trila. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that at the moment, but a type of beetle, or hickory horned devils, or a race of aliens based off of reptiles. Okay. So we have the sisters, or like from like birds of a feather, or like the equivalent of like the mighty caw, and then you chuck in like aliens that are like based off of bugs or reptiles or something like that. That would be interesting.
Somebody has been reading ahead in my Google Doc that has the Mighty Call lined out for the first 26 issues. Somebody needs to mind their business, is what I'm saying.
And the funny thing is, he's not talking about me. Ugh. Okay, so I not to hate on Rodrigo over here because he's simply asking a question. What do you think about the upcoming horror movie of Betty Boop called Boop? No, we need to stop with the horror movies. We can do more than just horror. Like, don't get me wrong, I can see how it's a really creative outlet. I guess, to see how you can murk somebody, which I hate to each their own. I'm not going to judge on that.
What's creative about that? I mean, like, it just seems like you're doing the same things over and over again. And I mean, I get that it's the quickest and cheapest way to probably make a movie.
I do believe they are too.
I mean, other than like a slice of life thing nobody's going to watch. But I don't know. I like the Winnie the Pooh horror movie and stuff. I'm just like, really? Do we need that? Let's see.
No, honestly, we don't. I don't like. Look, I get it. If people need to get their bag and find a way to create a movie or something that can get them to where they want to be, to create their own movies or whatever, fine. But personally, I'm just not a horror movie guy. But I just think we need to do something more inventive with these characters that are in the public domain. Like, why not make your own rendition of Epic Mickey, the video game, where you can actually go across different public domain, different situations, and probably fix up their stories or do something else. I don't know. Or like, Popeye the Sailor Man. How about you actually create your own adventures using the character since he's already in the public domain? For me, I want to team him up with Tintin. So then that way they can go on fun little wacky adventures. You got the little investigative, nice guy, Tintin, and they got Popeye, the rock'em sock'em sailor, like, come on, we got to be more inventive with these things. There's a reason why they're in the public domain and we get to do something with them. Let's just try to be more creative with it. That's what the whole point of the show is about. We're trying to be more creative with some fun ideas and stuff. Sorry, I'm like really passionate about that. I get why people do the horror stuff. It is one of the cheapest methods of creating, content, but also I think we can do more with it.
Well, and that's my thing is like I used to like horror movie. I think everybody goes through stage and through puberty and whatnot where they get into horror movies, but I liked them back in the day when they were like Freddy Krueger and things like that, and you had like interesting charismatic characters being your main villain, somebody who was funny or interesting, or maybe they were living puppets made by, their scorned puppet master, and then, spend eternity doing terrible things, because he was hurt, or whatever. But like, you had original cool ideas of stuff, and then, interesting characters. And for me, it just devolved into a lot of schlock, and how much blood can we throw at the screen, or how many jump scares can we throw in there. And having Tourette's, I can't go to a movie with jump scares and not ruin it for everybody. So, that doesn't work. And so it's no fun for me anymore.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, I have no hate to those who ever desire to do anything with that, but it's not a big thing, And I mean, I get it. For some people, it's one of the quickest ways that they can make a couple bucks, or, better yet, to probably get their foot in the career in creating films and stuff. So, there's all that kind of stuff. So true. We want new stories with these characters. The horror trope has been overdone, in my opinion. Yes, and I believe, and no hate to Five Nights at Freddy's, but I believe that was like the kicker. That was like the beginning of the mascot horror genre, which then kind of led to that. But that's just my opinion. I just more or less think that's how it goes. I have a concept with Popeye. Hold on a second. Oh no, gotta see what that's all about. All right, with Pop. Dang it, I couldn't see it. That's actually I'll take a look at it in a second over here, just so I can probably go back and reread that because I want to see what they were talking about with Popeye over there. Couldn't tell if I could scroll or not. That's fine. Dang it. Oh well. I'll eventually find a way to read it soon. I mean, I'm gonna look back on the comments here. Unless there's a way I can read that without unintentionally screwing up with the chat here.
He says, I have a concept with Popeye where he's basically in a Walking Dead universe, one of the last survivors. That's a cool idea.
That is actually a nifty concept. Getting to see him survive and probably trying to find every can of spinach to help knock out. Well, he can't use spinach because that's still under the current copyright of him. Now you know.
But like The Walking Dead, for instance, it's in the horror movie genre. Hey, Katie, it's in the horror movie genre, but they did something new with it. They took it in a new direction in like, what is life like for people that have to continue to live in this world when it's just not going to end, and you don't get to save the day and walk away and kiss the girl like, in the credits roll. You have to keep living in this world, and really latched on to the fact that the humans are way scarier than the zombies are. And to me, that is interesting. That's fascinating. That is a new take on what I would have said was an old, worn out genre that nobody could do anything new in, but they came up with a new idea to make it interesting and take it in a new place. And I would even argue that it's not really horror so much anymore. Like it's more of a drama now, or a survival piece, more than it is like horror. It's not about, oh my god, how scary the zombies are coming. Like, the zombies are scary, but they're just a threat, like a disease or anything else, or wild squirrels with rabies. Like, it's not.
It's used as like
much horror as it is, what are you going to do to me to get to my stuff, and are you going to hurt my family to steal our canned beans or whatever. Like,
right, and it's more like they're weirdly used as a narrative device rather than like the actual main plot of it. There's a lot of drama going on between these people that just happens to be set in a world full of zombies. Keep bringing up Trouble Little China because you guys should do a kung fu influence episode. Honestly, that's actually what my character is kind of doing right now. My character is supposed to be very much like Iron Fist inspired to an extent. So I guess in this case, I'm kind of doing like because it's set in an urban and like a modern day setting, I'm kind of thinking like, Iron Fist, but if it was good. Not at all. The Netflix show trashed out. But I had an idea for like using martial arts as like, again, this is where like I do more of the Avatar using kung fu moves or using martial arts to kind of do the elemental control, and then also the transform matter part. So I actually like the idea that my character could actually shift his body parts into different forms of elements. So like maybe he might have like a rock arm, but he actually might be able to turn his other arm on fire, or maybe find a way to manipulate that kind of situation and whatnot. Imagine if the cougar villain from the American Eagle video came from a race of cat-like aliens. Actually, if you were to actually watch the video of us drawing out the character, it was actually I believe it was an experiment that has gone either successful or has gone wrong, and they get their additional powers from the suits and stuff that they kind of stole or apprehended. But I love your thinking there. So is there going to be a recap of the season 1 role for hero? That is a very good question. Personally, I'm going to see if I can get a video like that on the way. Probably do it for next week because I got some major things going on right now. So we won't be able to do a role for hero for next week.
Yeah, I was gonna try and say that earlier, but you were on a roll, and But somebody asked if next week was going to be the beginning of the new season, and we're gonna be off 1 week, so he can take care of business, and then we're gonna come back after that, which will be good because that'll give me time to get some stuff done that I need to get done on Alice and stuff too. Which Alice 3 has been sent off to the printers, and I'm waiting to get an email, hopefully today, to look over the proofs and approve the file so that they can do the whole print run. And so I'll have those in my hot little hands pretty soon, which is exciting.
Oh, that's going to be fantastic. I can't wait for that. All right. Now I think I'm just going to, you know what? I'm going to use this as the baseline because my design here is very, very simple. So, Mr. Fish, what do you currently got going on in your design over here?
I have a dude standing next to a dude wearing lots of regular clothes and but lots of pockets and things so that he can have lots of room to carry stuff, because the more I thought about it, like I was literally thinking to myself as I was looking at the list of powers of transforming matter, elemental control, healing factor, you know, to have all these abilities and not have superpowers, like you'd basically have to be magic. And then it clicked to me. That's something that you could potentially, fantasy world, train yourself in for, spend your life training to get there. So he has trained himself in various forms of magic and whatnot. And so he has this backpack and all these pockets and stuff in his gear so that he can carry all kinds of charms and doodads and, spell components and whatnot, and books and tomes and Kindles full of, digital libraries full of information. And so that he has everything he needs to, counteract whatever evils he may find. And I'm thinking for him personally, like because of his birth sign or whatever, when he was born, his strength to the supernatural world is a lot stronger at night, and probably moon based as well, I would think. So like a full moon, his magic would probably be a lot stronger. So he goes out at night and tries to counteract the things that are going bad in the world and, make a difference, all at the same time trying not to stand out too crazy in a crazy Doctor Strange type outfit, but also be ready for whatever may happen. And so like all of his pockets are packed full of crap and dried flowers and
wait, but then
whatnot.
Right now I was totally gonna forget because the modifier is that your powers either work at night or day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why it's an option. That's why it's an optional modifier. So I don't think I'm gonna be taking that one. For once, I think this might be the one time where I don't use the optional modifier for the character in this situation.
I will have to check out the Red Panther character. Shepherd.
Oh yeah, I actually had the idea of using that one and calling him the Blood Panther just to make it sound like edgy or whatever. But I actually like that idea.
Yeah, I agree with Katie. Like the humans are way scarier in a zombie situation than anything else is going to be, because you know what the zombies are going to do. You don't know what that person's going to do when they get scared enough. Benjamin said, imagine someone gaining their powers from an ancient artifact, which is one of the things that we have on our chart to roll up, which we've done that one.
Yes, we
imagine if an origin being from a curse. I like that one. That one was in my original list. My original like online hero generator. I had a lot of different versions of curses. Let's see. Oh, keeps moving. R. Shepherd says, so he's like Felix the cat with the endless bag where you can pull anything out of it, or like Deadpool when he first came out. Cool. Popeye can eat spinach is public domain since that thing appears in the comic wasn't renewed so you can make Popeye eat spinach.
Ooh, good to know. But I'm gonna play it safe and just do the whole, little Weevil, like how he has to like pet his little ball Weevil or something like. I forgot what that was called, but it was something of that nature.
Once I played an illusionist wizard with a really small spell book that was the size of a deck of cards, and he was wearing the classic magician's outfit. It was super fun. Oh, that's a clever idea. Do you guys think that the indie comic scene is oversaturated with superhero comics?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yes, I do. I think there's room for more if you're going to do something original and something cool. I absolutely think there's room. Like, I would have told you that it was oversaturated before Invincible came out, but Invincible was well worth the effort. It was a new, interesting, original take on it, even though the vast majority of it is like direct rip-offs of other things. Like exactly who they're ripping off in each character, but he's doing interesting things with those archetypes, and so like I would have thought that much like with The Walking Dead, I thought The Walking Dead was a stupid idea. I was like, zombies are played out. There's nothing new you're going to be able to do with it. Why are you even bothering? But I was wrong. It was pretty cool. So, if you got a really cool idea, like I have an idea that tackles some more real world issues and in a superhero world that I think would be a really good book that I'm hoping to do in a year or two with T.S. Luther. T.S. Luther has Hellion and Bash, which I think is a really cool story idea take
That is.
on what would it really be like in a world of superheroes for a sidekick. That would probably be a pretty sucky world to live in. And
Especially if you're a Batman as a total, total
oh yeah, if he's a
jerkwad.
total psycho, then yeah, that's not where you want to be. So I don't think it's so far overdone that you can't do something cool there, but you got to have a new idea. It
Yeah,
cannot just be
like the next
this is
Marvel
my
or anything
version of
like that.
Batman.
Yeah, I was gonna definitely like to kind of add on to that. I'm not against the idea of like because I love superhero stuff. I'm a huge sucker for superheroes. My comic, The Unbeatables, you can read on Webtoon, is of course a superhero comic. Is you just got to find a way to make it your own. Invincible managed to work because it took the classic tropes of what we know in superheroes, but it amped up the violence to like an 11,000, showing the actual consequences of what it really takes to be a superhero, having to fight off an alien invasion, or to even do something as simple as fighting an evil scientist on Mount Rushmore. Like, it's crazy, but there are crazy implications that come from that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Let's see.
So like doing
Imagine
something
a fish
unique and
themed.
innovative with it.
Imagine a fish themed villain fighting the birds of a feather. I have a fish themed villain that was Mr. Fish that was supposed to be in Green Zone. He may get in there someday, but I may use him somewhere else first. I don't know. Imagine fusing two characters from the public domain, which have different concepts, and try to write something for the character. That's a neat idea. Would love to merge the Golden Child world with Big Trouble in Little China, and we create that as a new setting. We call it Kung Fu Modern. That's cool. Let's see.
Pretty neato burrito there.
What's up, J Man? Good to see you. Here at work with no boss today. When the cat is gone, the mouse will play. Good to see you, man. J Man may recognize my inspiration for this magical character from our 5-Star Friday show. But
that was actually what I was gonna say too, because I remember watching the intros to those. Those were a lot of fun too.
mm-hmm.
Getting to see the intros to the 5-star. Okay, I think I'm gonna go with the bunt. Well, do I want to go spiky here?
I almost decided to just do that character exactly, who's based on my buddy Ryan, and I loved the idea. because I love Ryan's husband. He's one of the sweetest dudes in the world. And a great cook. He won my heart with his pot roast. Man, put my pot roast to shame. Um, but so I made them a team. Ryan wanted to be like a Doctor Strange type character, and so he's full on, got like all the gaudy clothes and crazy metal boots and all this stuff. And then I threw his husband Derek on there with a giant backpack and like all this crap hanging off of it and pots and pans and stuff to be like the guy in a chair that follows him around and
Mm,
like the guy that does all the research and stuff. And like he may not have the powers or the ability, but he can do research. So, he's studying and trying to be as helpful as he can be and, searching the lore while the other character is going on and taking on the demons and whatnot. And the other guy is, studying the books and the text and coming up with ideas and mixing up potions and ointments and whatnot to try and, help out. I thought the idea of that team dynamic in two spouses was such a neat idea that I want to use that idea somewhere. Because then you got the whole like, you know, get out of here, you can't handle this, I need to risk my life, but it's not okay for you to risk yours. Why is it okay for you to risk your life and me not to risk mine? Like, well, I've got magic powers. Like, well, I know all this. I ain't doing nothing. You know, I think
something I
it
haven't
brings a
done
real
before.
interesting possibility for real interesting storytelling. Uh, J Man says 5-star intro is legendary and the end credits are cool. Also, my name is on the wall. Yeah, it is. I put all of our main followers and viewers on the wall in graffiti just as a
Ooh,
thank you for being cool dudes that hung out with us and made the show what it was.
well, that's awesome. Imagine a role for hero that's based off of your birds of a feather sisters, but instead they are cousins being based off of whatever you roll. Interesting. Oh, got to fly there. Call your character the Golden Fist or the Golden Hand. I actually kind of like that. It's not a bad idea. But why gold though? Why not silver? Why not bronze?
Because he's a winner.
Because I'm a freaking legend. Oh man,
You
I
don't
love.
freaking
Oh
take
yeah.
on the bronze here, dude.
Maybe at first he was a child. Ooh, okay. You know what? We're gonna come up with some fun little potential origin story stuff here. So the fact that we live in an urban setting, right? So my character has been training. Why was he training? Maybe he's actually the son of, a really great karate master, or maybe of some, martial arts adjacent master. And the downside, to him is that he's not the best by comparison. Maybe he has a brother or something like that that's actually far superior to him in every way imaginable. So for years
Oh,
upon years, he has studied and trained, to learn these specific martial arts moves. But in the process of doing so, he probably traveled around and out and about doing whatever. And he eventually came across the Tibetan monks, the classic, martial arts, experts that teach them all these crazy, weird ways, Batman style, learning something from the Tibetan monks and whatnot. And maybe he learned to control elemental powers of some kind, and not only that, but being able to not just control it but to become said element. For we are all nature, we are all of the earth and whatnot, or something along the lines of that. Using that to his advantage, he probably goes out and about using his abilities. He's training to become better, far superior, but in his journeys he realizes that with the strength that he's obtained, you know he could do something with it. Maybe but like maybe the motivation could be that his father, or maybe his brother or his other sibling, might be causing and wreaking havoc, probably working with a crime organization or something of that nature.
oh, that's cool. That's always a great way to add drama to it, to have, brothers fighting or whatever, brothers, sisters, whatever, fighting over, their place in the world, or the same event causing, one to turn to evil and the other turn to be a hero. That's good juicy stuff.
Ooh, and like one of the phrases I can imagine one of them saying is like, "We could have ruled together. Why would I rule when you were always superior?" Or something like that, where it's like one of those little gotcha moments where it's like, "Why would I rule when you couldn't love me?" Really get the gut punch in there, Marvel style, get into your emotions.
Yeah, when you started talking about like how we got here and how we got started, I was like, well, obviously, and my whole story changed in that moment. My whole story changed because I was like, well, obviously, much like an EMT, like, something happened when this dude was young and he saw somebody get hurt by like a monster of the night, like a werewolf or something. And, or, the neighborhood kids were listening to metal music and accidentally raised a demon or something.
Oof.
And he saw something traumatic happen. And so he decided to devote his life to being the change and never letting that happen to somebody else, never being powerless again and whatnot. But then it hit me, oh my god, what if you had like supernatural EMTs? Like, what if like you're literally like employed by the city to take all the random calls at night about vampires and werewolves and skinwalkers and whatnot, and somebody was attacked by a vampire and you have to go show up and do first aid and try and keep them from turning or whatever. Like, so now he's an EMT, now he's a supernatural EMT, and
just call it
much
that,
less
honestly. That I feel like that should just be kind of like K-pop Demon Hunters. The title says enough for itself. Just call it Supernatural EMT. There you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's the idea right there. That is the story. That pitch is sellable. Like I could sell that to a publisher right now, probably.
I mean, depending on like, I feel like also the demographic would be those who watch all those like cop shows, those doctor shows, like Chicago PD,
Mm-hmm.
all the Hawaii Five
Oh yeah.
or something like that. I feel like they would be the kind of guys that would, those kind of people would be like, oh my god, really? But they're not really going to want to read it. They're just going to want to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now I kind of got this. Honestly, depending on how, because my design is very simple. Now, weirdly enough, if any of y'all kind of caught on, I went to a different little pile of other drawings I've done, but I'm kind of basing my design on, I guess I would call him Fist of the Dragon. So, Mr. Fish, I don't know if you ever heard of Atlas Seaboard Comics. You ever heard of those guys? The competitor to Marvel that failed.
Yeah.
So I did a bunch of these like redesigns for kicks and giggles, and one of them was like this martial arts kind of character. And I love the way that his design, the way that I drew him out was a lot of fun. And because I decided to kind of combine elements of like Spider-Man with the Kung Fu gi, hence why I have like the karate gi aesthetic with my character. So like that's the reason why it was part of that whole thing. That's why I went for this whole like fun little redesign of it. But yeah, this is interesting. Just getting to design the characters. But yeah, I remember looking through all the Atlas Seaboard stuff. I think I might do a whole series of videos just redesigning those guys or showing y'all what I ended up doing to redesign those characters. Because Atlas Seaboard just needs to be like a whole studied event, because it's hilarious how a company tried to beat Marvel only then for them to fail. Like, that's crazy. Imagine creating a comic book company only managing to create a bunch of books to last a solid year, and then your business goes bankrupt.
Yeah, I mean, but it wasn't terribly uncommon, especially at the time. Like, what Marvel was managing to pull off was pretty much a miracle at the time. But, Stan managed to make the characters interesting enough and stuff that the college kids were enjoying reading it too, and not just the little kids, like with Superman and Batman and whatnot. And but that's a hard thing to pull off. That was kind of a lightning in a bottle sort of thing. And you can try and do that, but if you don't have the same interests and stuff that he did, that made for interesting ideas that you know people beyond fifth grade were going to want to read, then that's tough.
Mm.
All right, then.
I don't think I got any other logos for that. Okay, so I think I got a pretty solid concept going on over here. But yeah, I based my design of this character off of like how I did their martial arts character. And the thing with Atlas Seaboard, they only had one of their. If the book was lucky enough, they would have at most 4 issues. There was a bunch of a bunch of one-offs, and that was it. There wasn't anything else to kind of add on after that. And so that's always the interesting thing about Atlas Seaboard, because it's like when the story got good, you realize that was going to be the only book, and you're like, dang it, I wish there was more.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see.
Yeah, not uncommon.
There we go. Just going to make a simple little fist logo over here because I think this would kind of be a little fun. Kind of wanted to do the little sun element of it, but honestly, I think I might do that. Who knows?
Oh man, that would be so cool too if like he can only be scheduled for night shift because of like his birth sign and what time of day he was born and stuff, and they have to think about crap like that when setting up the schedule. Like when somebody calls in on day shift, you're really, really up the creek because you only got so many people that are even qualified to work that shift, because it's not just like, are you able to do the job, but you have to worry about all this other stuff on top of it.
Making honestly, it's like you're talking about Dispatch, the new superhero video game.
Oh man, that looks so good.
Oh yeah, my fiance got it, and she was trying to play it. She was trying to do the interactive mode where like you're also playing in the cutscenes. But personally, if I was to play it, I would only do the cinematic aspect of it, just because I don't want to have to focus on all that. I kind of want to be really immersed in the story myself.
Mm-hmm.
Being in an accident in a laboratory. Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous looking book. Mr. Fish's character, I imagine him getting hunted by beings from different dimensions. Yeah, easily. Imagine a origin like there being an accident in a laboratory.
I think that's our failed government /fail. That's our successful / failed government type of experiment. Those are usually lab accidents waiting to happen. Personally, that's just my opinion that nobody asked for. All right, let's see what we got.
Gotta love a good lab accident.
Everyone loves a good lab accident until they're the ones in the accident.
Because it can just do anything, It can give you superpowers. It can let you see through steel. It can give you the ability to pick up a skyscraper if you're home. It can give you spider powers. It can give you Hulk powers. It can give you Spider Hulk powers if you really want it.
This is true. All right, I think I kind of digging it. I feel like there's another color that I should do. I feel like I've been playing too much with. What is a color I haven't played with enough yet? That is very bright green. That is obnoxious green right there. Okay. I think I kind of got something going on over here a little bit. Like, trying to see what I can do here color-wise. I don't know about the green. I personally don't really know about the green. Quite literally.
Oh man.
I just realized that that's a recording, and I'm gonna hear that one day when I watch this back again. Ooh, a computer virus. Getting their like a villain getting their powers from a computer virus.
Oh, I'm digging it.
Yeah, it turns out that guy that Zimbabwe press really wanted to give you your money and then some, but in the process, bam, you got powers instead.
Oh man, if you could affect people on that level through a computer against their will, oh, hacking would take on a whole different issue.
Oh yeah, and then you would have to start hiring all the tech nerds, and then this means that all the tech-based heroes, and then even at that rate, they would have to create firewalls and potential like safety adjacent type of maneuvers in order for them to just function properly as they can be without them getting hacked over. And then that would actually be leading on to having a bunch of nature adjacent heroes, having to really step up.
See, that's where I think a lot of people are missing the boat. I think there's so much cool potential for cool stories around the worlds, like he did with Walking Dead. Like, it's not the zombies per se, but it's everything around them that happens in a world because it's filled with zombies, and because everybody that's going to die is going to turn into a zombie. Suddenly, that is what makes it interesting. And like, there's so many stories that I think have so much cool potential in a world like full of superheroes. Like, the superheroes themselves I find kind of boring, but like how you go about being a criminal. Like, at what point does this make sense that you're going to risk your life against people that can shoot lasers out of their eyes and stuff? At what point are you like, okay, I'm just a dude, but I think I might have invented or stolen or something, some tech that could actually give me a chance against those guys and make me rich. Well, you got to be brave to step out and try that. Or like putting together a team of supervillains or any of this. Like, it just seems so tough and interesting to me. And I think there's cool ideas for that. Or like, the guy that builds the suits. I probably talked about that idea before. But like, if you that would be, I think, one of the most dangerous jobs in the world, because everybody would be trying to come after you, knowing that you built Super Dude's suit.
That's
You
true.
have to have his address, for delivery or billing or whatever, or have his name, and that would be a dangerous job. What kind of licensing and stuff do you have to be able to deal with the kind of toxic, exotic chemicals and stuff that you're going to be dealing with to create suits that can stretch and go invisible and, handle bullet fire?
Of course.
I just think there's so much cool potential for stories around the superheroes.
And that's whoop, I hate you. You good there, Mr. Fish? What ended up happening?
I don't know. I heard a bloop and I was gone.
Oh, shocker. Alrighty then. Sorry about that, everybody. I don't know what happened there. I just need to get some references, or at least some kind of a color thing, color palette that I can use for the suit. And I had to roll how many times I would have to keep flipping through until I got to that number. So I'm going to stick with this one because I remember doing this last time and I did not stick to it. So this time I'm going to, as much as I probably don't want to do it.
I think Esteban was trying to get rid of me so fiance could take over my job and they could take the internet by storm. I think that's what
Oh
it's on.
no.
Yeah. It was all part of his plot. Just lull
Part
us
of my
all into
scheming
false sense
plans
of
to take
security
over
so
the
he can
world.
replace me with a pretty girl. Everybody knows fat, bald old men are more popular than pretty girls.
I mean, listen, there is a reason why you happen to be claimed to be the sexiest man in 1969. So I mean, hey, it is what it is. You know, I can't beat that. Really, I really can't. You know, it's trying to beat perfection.
Not
know?
with a stick.
Okay, this is actually kind of working. I think it's because of how simple I designed his costume in this situation that it actually allows the ability to be very simplistic, very, you know, to the point,
Mm-hmm.
not so. Thankfully, because of how simple it is, it's not too complicated. So then I could actually design this character with ease.
Because it's so simple, it's not too complicated.
Not
That's
too
a
complicated.
funny
It's very
thing.
simple. I use word salads. Okay, I'm compensating for the fact I barely got out of high school.
Always
I
compensating for
compensate.
something, they say.
I compensate for the fact I barely got out of high school because being an artist in a world where creativity is trying to be shut down is just too difficult.
Boy, howdy. You ain't even lying.
Ooh, okay. I can't tell if I want to do light and dark. Ooh, having light stripes on a dark suit or having dark stripes on a light suit? That is the question. Okay, here we go. We got it going on. What if you guys created a wizard character?
I mean, sort of.
I mean, that's
That's
what
sort
he's
of
doing.
what he is.
It's kind of like we took the. It's kind of like what we did with the very. It's funny because it's almost kind of comes full circle a little bit, because the first episode we kind of took D&D classes and we kind of decided to go with that idea and kind of move forward with it. So Mr. Fish
Mm-hmm.
decided to go the more classic, you know, like D&D rogue aesthetic, you know, a thief, one who would sneak and maneuver his way through very difficult places. And I chose the more barbaric, you know, warrior, like martial arts kind of a thing where, you know, I guess like Avatar, but like with Aztec luchador type situations. So we took the same prompt, but I decided to go with the more barbaric, you know, hand to hand type situation, and then he went the more rogue element with it. And now it's almost full circle again because now I'm kind of doing monk, you know, hand to hand martial arts combat, you know, not as barbaric but more refined. And then Mr. Fish's character is doing a full blown like wizard, you know, of a character, being able to tackle on, you know, doing magical, mystical things. So it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
funny because never thought we would ever, you know, do a full circle on that one. Only on Roll for Here would stuff like this ever happen. Make sure to tune in every Wednesday, 2:30 Central, 2:30 Eastern.
Never
Tell your
miss an
friends.
opportunity to pitch.
Oh yeah,
Never.
tell your friends. I mean, there are potentials and things that happen in
Oh,
the
that's
show.
something y'all need to be doing because we got such a great group of viewers on this show. Like we've really got the top tier fans tuning in early, leaving comments before the show, like people that really care and enjoy what we're doing, and that's awesome. You guys should really be actively sharing it out to your friends because I'm sure you've got other cool friends like you, and man, it would be great to have more people hanging out, watching, taking part, doing their own characters, see what everybody comes up with. Man,
And then
that's
not only that, using the hashtag Roll for Hero to show us your awesome creations. So then that way we can use it to like show off all the awesome art.
yeah.
But that's just
I
my
just
opinion. Nobody asked for it, though. I'm just saying, you know, what do I know?
all right. I'm just the man standing next to the man.
I'm just the guy doing a thing. And we all like doing things, you know what I mean?
All right.
I think I'm kind of getting there. It's a really cool blue color palette. I think like the element. Okay, so I guess for my dude, he might have been probably more of a water adjacent guy because I used this sun logo for some reason, thinking that I could probably do something with that. Okay, now I'm conflicted. because I just inverted the colors here for his suit because I did all these blues, and now I inverted it. Wrong one. Now I inverted it, and now it has like this brownish kind of color. I'm not against it, but it's like, come on.
No.
But it also kind of counteracts with the green hair because I want to, like, I guess do something more of I guess something electric based or something light, electric-ish to an extent. I don't know. I thought of like green. I don't know why the green was there, but it was there. I think it's because it was a color I haven't tested out in a while or at all. So
I like this. I like this color scheme so much better. I like him being in a like onesie jumper, like an EMT, and having the jacket with the patches and stuff on it, like an EMT. I I really dig that idea, and uh, and like having to call in for backup and stuff, and prepping OR. And we're gonna need
we're gonna need backup,
5
guys.
liters 5 liters of freaking cleansed blood or something, like
Hey, where's that
Hold-
unicorn blood? It's like, in a minute. I need it yesterday. I go, I don't care, Johnson. I'm in the middle of something. I'm using Earth Dragon's liver for an elixir. Give me a minute. Having like a whole back and forth, just like that whole typical ER stuff.
and then just like the petty stuff of like, having to deal with Janice in HR or who does the scheduling, and like she just hates you, because she's jealous of you or whatever. Like just having to deal with like the petty crap while dealing with life and death issues. And, I think that could make for a very interesting show or, story. But I think you would have to have somebody with some like EMT experience or something on it.
Yeah.
I found myself constantly reaching out to police officers and stuff I know, asking for advice, writing Green Zone, just to make sure that things felt and sounded real. Because like just because like that's the way they do it on a TV show doesn't mean that's the way I wanted to do it in my book. Like I wanted it to make as much sense in a fantastical world with 8-foot tall lizard monsters as it could possibly make. And so I was constantly going back and asking for advice from people that did the job and try and keep some of that realism. Benjamin says, go with the blue because it would be too close to Oak Fang with the brown, which ain't
True.
lie.
That's true. Yeah, I guess it's just also trying to diversify the coloring of it, but honestly, I really don't know if I should. I mean, it's just all like, ooh, wait, but whites. Adding on some white in there, not too bad actually. Probably keeping at the clothes might actually work. Helps it. I guess one of my favorite elements of like designing a character is trying to find a way to like round it out in a weird way. So like I always want to put something. That's why I always wear like wristbands, because I like how it helps kind of like create something, or it creates like a unified idea for it, or helps round it off. But that's just me. All right, so kind of like it, and I like the green here. I think it's because I didn't do anything with green beforehand. Like very few characters I think I've ever used green in their design. It's either like nothing bright or neon based, but I know I've always done like other green colors, but never like the bright ones because they're too obnoxious to the eyes. It's very like, it's too much,
Yeah, I went obnoxious green with his glasses just because I want them to be like as if they were like polarized for a particular type of magic to like make lycanthropy show up in the dark or something,
Ooh.
look brighter or something like that. Like they're coded with a specific reason in mind so that
You know what this color palette's kind of reminding me of now that I think about it? Because I totally unintentionally, like, because again, you saw me flip through all the colors. I just realized that we have a similar palette. Mine's just more on the lighter side, and yours is on the more darker side. So I guess I could say that my powers work more in the day, but I'm not doing that modifier, but I'm just sticking with this. But I like the idea because the color palette reminds me of Lego Power Miners. I don't know why, it just does. The color palette just reminds me. It's a whole series of Legos of like these guys digging in these caves, and there's these little rock monsters and stuff like that. It was a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer the green and purple color scheme better. See, I thought of that too, but it just reminds me too much of Lex Luthor or the Hulk, just because that purple and green are like the perfect combo for villains for comics back in those days. I honestly think I'm at a pretty good spot, and I don't think I should move any more further in terms
It's
of
weird
like.
how some of those tropes took place and just stuck, because like one of it, and as silly as it is, one of my favorite superhero costumes ever, and I don't know why it hit me this way, but it hit me hard, was in an episode of Rescue Rangers, Chippendale's Rescue Rangers. um, Dale Dale's the dumb one, right? Anyway, he gets superpowers and turns into this rubber dude and can stretch, and he makes himself a purple and green costume. And as dumb as that was, I mean, it was a silly show. That just stood out in my brain as one of the coolest superhero combinations. And I think the fact that purple and green was basically only ever used for bad guys is the reason it stood out to me as such an awesome superhero costume, because I'd never seen anything like it before. And it took a while for me to break myself of trying to make every costume I came up with purple and green, just because I liked that so much.
All right, I more or less got my guy down.
I'm almost there.
Honestly, depending on how, if I would decide to go any more crazier, I could just take this character and just pose him out and just put him in a cool little kicking pose. There we go. Just want to probably add some little lens glares. It's actually not that bad. I can see this. I can definitely see this character being some kind of a proper martial character. I don't know why the blue though. Maybe he probably comes from. Oh, that's hard though, because I just now realized that he has a little green aquatic sun color thing going on over here. Color wise, I don't know how I did, but I think I did pretty okay for what I got going on here. This is interesting. The color palette is interesting. I think I'm just gonna leave it at that, because if I continue any further, I might screw it up, or I might, just not screw it up. I feel like I'm just gonna overly design it to where like it's gonna be impossible to draw. Which is why whenever you guys are out there making your own comics, telling your own stories, make sure to simplify the character design, so then that way you have an easy time drawing your character on repeat. You never want to overcomplicate a design. You're going to regret it later.
Man,
simple is key. The simpler the design, the easier your life will be.
I've gotten a few scripts recently with character designs and stuff in them that I'm like, oh yeah, I can't do that. That's too much. That's like far too complicated to be able to draw any number of times with any kind of consistency. Yeah, that's not going to work. I'm sorry.
All right, I think I am done. I'm not going to progress any forward with this, because I think I might, because I'm just really testing things out, seeing what really happens here. And I think I went too far. The green might have been too much. It's that obnoxious green color. That's the color that I really want to try to work with. But is it tougher to come up with different color palettes for you guys, for your guys' characters, when another well-established character has it? I guess that also depends on how the suit is designed, in my opinion. Mr. Fish, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, the standard Captain America suit is probably one of my favorite ways of interpreting like the American flag on a character. There's one star to have to worry about, not 50. There's the stripes look nice and are in a cool position. Like there's red accents, there's white accents. He's not wearing a flag, but he's clearly a representation of like when you see one that's done that well, it's hard for me to be like, oh, I want to do a patriotic character and I can beat that. That would be hard for me to do. Or like occasionally I'll be working on something and I'll start laying in colors and I'm like, oh yeah, that looks too much like Superman in that color palette. So I change it now. Like, no, that looks too much like Spider-Man. And then I change it like, no, that looks too much like Batman. It can be a challenge.
It can be. And I will say it's because, in my opinion, classic superheroes like Superman, Batman, and at this point, Spider-Man, the top three heroes, if you will, they have such iconic suit designs that when trying to create your own, it's almost a borderline, it's almost entirely difficult to, it's very difficult to create your own superhero character without unintentionally knocking off Superman, Batman, or Spider-Man. And in the case of Captain America, like for instance, I made up my own knockoff Captain America using Captain Courage, right? And or something, or no, I made it with like two different public domain characters, three different characters from the public domain. And I basically just kind of made a slight difference in modification to the suit, but it was so difficult trying to make it not Captain America, but Captain America at the same time. Again, trying to create a knockoff rendition of it. But he's not wrong. Captain America's suit is borderline like the perfect way to represent the American flag. Now, there are tons of other ways. There are tons of other methods of creating a character that has, that simplistic costume design. And it annoys me because they have it knocked out first. And it's kind of like you wish you had that ability to create that design, but you can't because of copyright. So it's a whole thing and then some,
Yeah, and the thing is, most of the time when I see somebody come up with a really cool patriotic hero design, it's usually very complicated. Like it's usually very complex with lots of little doodads to have to draw, and he's got a full-on eagle on his forehead, and he has all these complicated pieces, which is the thing about Captain America's suit. It's simple, it's beautiful, it's easy to draw over and over again. Like there's so many things. Like the Star Spangled Kid is an awesome design. I do not want to have to draw all those freaking stars all over his costume. No, thank you. Put one on the chest. I'm a happy man. I will draw that one star all day long.
Oh yeah,
but
just look at this character over here, the American Eagle. I had to try to find a way to make that A look like an eagle, a star, and the letter A for America. I overcomplicated an entire design for practically nothing. But it's like the fact that I had to take so many measures to make the character feel like its own unique character and not just hey, it's Captain America, but this. It's so difficult,
Yeah. It's not easy. It is not easy. And I feel you on that. It's tough. And like you were saying though, it's hard to come up with any superhero costume and not be quote unquote ripping something off. Because if we're putting them in spandex at all, you're ripping off the 1,000 characters that came before you. If you're putting, striped big blocks of color or a big stripe down the body or something down the center or whatever, you're ripping off every character created in the 90s. There's so many tropes that we use, like the trunks and the boots and gloves and the mask with the hole cut out for the face so that you can talk in the middle, or the hair being exposed on the top of that mask for some reason so you can flitter DNA everywhere you go and people can track you down. All of those things are tropes that have been used by other characters a bunch of times, and we're ripping them all off. So it's hard to play around in that zone and not end up putting all these random pieces together in a way that ends up looking like something that's already been done.
I mean, honestly, the more I think about it too, my character that I just finished right over here looks a lot like Iron Fist. It's like, tell me that this doesn't look like a potential Iron Fist clone,
Oh yeah, like that could totally be like his kid in in Heroes for Hire teen version extreme or whatever. Like that could totally be his kid if you change the color scheme and
And real
boom.
quick, I'm also gonna ask the chat, what do you guys think of my character? What should my character's name be in order for me to kind of create this little pseudo cover, if you will? So then that way, at least I have like something to kind of get onto, or at least kind of draw it out. Usually it takes me like a week or two to kind of develop a proper name, but sometimes y'all come up with some of the better names here. Like when we did that cosmic being, and when he was drawing Medusa, I ended up doing the name Scarlix just because the name was actually like really like it's a really cool name. So chat, if y'all can chuck out a name, what do you think my character's name over here would be? He has all these crazy powers. He has transformation of matter, elemental control, and a healing factor. And like, what do you think he would be called? Putting that out there. And then what do you think Mr. Fish's character would be called? I mean, honestly, I don't know if his character would need a name because it feels like his name would just be like John.
Yeah. Or like Deandric, or something like just like a dude supernatural EMT, like
Do you think he would be like a tired
Jerry.
paramedic? Like he's just like, oh God, not again with the werewolf attack. It's like, we told these guys to only do it to animals, and you think they would listen.
We told them not to summon anything higher than a class 3 demon. You can't be messing around with the 2s and the 1s, man. It's out of your league. You're going to get us all killed. No, you're not listening.
Okay, so it's like,
you're not going to listen to the man. It could be such a cool story, and could be like real gory. Soul Fist. That's a cool idea.
Ooh, that's pretty cool. And then Dadpool over here says that my character represents the glass water thing. For that Bruce Lee is like, you want to be like water. You want to fit in all the things. That's not bad. I like that. But Soul Fist is a pretty cool one. And actually that does it would interesting. That's an interesting one because that sounds like a really spiritual title type situation.
Oh, what about Soul, like SOL? Because isn't that also the name for the sun?
I believe so. Yes. And then we're just gonna curl that fist right over here.
Let me Google that real quick. I know it was used in Doctor Who as the name of the sun. That was the first place I heard it.
It's been a minute since I've seen Doctor Who. All right, so we got that over here. Ooh, Crash. Ooh, wait. Okay, but then also, because I don't know why I'm thinking about like Tsunami. The Soul Tsunami Fist. Nah, I think adding Fist would be too much of an Iron Fist clone type situation. I like Soul Fist, though. That was a pretty cool one. What about Dread Dragon? Soul does have meaning to the sun, as Dragon Gaming states. So we're doing research. Only on Roll for Hero would we ever do research. I think I don't want to be too loose with the fingers. It's too much work. Just going to do fists, because drawing fists are easier. Ooh, Soul Wave? Like, so, oh, that's a cool one. I like that. I like that one. Soul Wave? Ah, that's a good one. I like that one. I like that one. Soul Wave is a pretty good one.
Google says no, but I don't know if that's necessarily true.
If anything, I actually, what's it called? I almost said the exact same thing as Dragon Gaming, LOL. Soul Wave or Solar Wave? Soul Wave, I actually really like. I really like Soul Wave. I think I'm probably going to go with that one.
Soul Wave.
Turns out he runs away from home. Like maybe he's trying to live the good life. Maybe he was actually living amongst some other martial adjacent monks and whatnot. And it wasn't until he really honed in his craft, he decided that he wanted to go out into the world, see what he can use his abilities for. Maybe he would learn and train under different martial preferences. Maybe he learned how to do proper hand-to-hand combat in the process, which would also then affect the way that he would proceed to control the elements. Like boxing would be a definitive earth-based fighting style, and then like karate being a more like flowable, or that would be like more like jiu-jitsu, like maybe karate being something akin to fire, jiu-jitsu being more akin to water, something like that. Maybe each of those elements could be utilized depending on the fighting style that he's training for. And then of course him being able to transform matter, that would also lead him to like getting to create something in the process of fighting. That would be really interesting. My character fighting a bird villain. That would be a really interesting idea. Oh, that would be a lot of fun, actually. I mean, who knows? I mean, we got to see what season 2 develops. Now, do you think it would be crazy that like in season 2 we would continue on building up the other universes, or should we like just let these universes kind of stop at season 1 and then season 2 we just develop totally different ones?
I don't know. I'm torn. I mean, I think it would be neat at some point to do like an entire season on one world. Like we pick the world at like say the end of one season, and then when we come back, everybody we create is in that world. Now, that would be interesting to me because then we've fully on created an entire world in that place.
So then it's like,
and then you have to think about how your characters tie into these other characters and stuff.
That is interesting. So like, for instance, again, I tend to use the steampunk one as a really good reference because again, that one has a lot kind of going on there. We got the spirit of, we got the spirit of the hunt. We have the spirit of the nurtured, which happen to be very strong characters. Then we happen to have, the two aliens that live in that steampunk world of, Cadence Featherwind and Shelbyville, and the fact that there's something that could be expanded on more within the confines of that world. Or this cyberpunk universe that we've been developing with the American Eagle, the Birds of a Feather sisters, the Medusa character that he created for that universe, the Cougar character that I developed for that universe. It's like that can all be one whole thing. So maybe depending, again, those are just two whole universes that I personally probably consider of it, because again, we developed so many characters that I think fit in those worlds. I think like chat, let us all know. Would you like us to roll like for say season 2 episode 1 where we roll the definitive universe and it has to be in that universe, right? Like it has to be like once we rolled it, that's it. Do you guys like that idea? Do you think we should probably do like maybe we only roll up 2, maybe 3 universes and then we have to stick to only those universes in particular? Man, I've been yapping a lot.
I think that's a cool idea. I mean, we don't necessarily have to do it this next time, but if we don't want to, but I think that would be a fun challenge because I can't help but think like steampunk Western is not like the thing I would have picked to be like, okay, this is what I want to do. But we came up with some really cool stuff for that world. And I would like to see where all that could go myself. All right, let's see.
Soul Wave's ultimate move could be Solar Wind Strike. He moves like light speed for 1 second, taking out 7 enemies for the fact that something moving at light speed travels the world 7 times in 1 second. Well, I don't know how elemental control and his transforming matter abilities fit into that, but we'll figure something out. And then we had Deadpool being on board with the idea that I was just talking about not too long ago.
Transform and expand.
Oof, that is actually looking pretty darn nifty. Probably get some of that. Of course, you got to get those Spider-Man eyes in there. I think that's the reason why I also like this design a little bit, just because I added the little Spider-Man adjacent kind of eyes. I feel like if you ever put those on a character, that's always going to help it out, sell out a lot. Imagine superheroes and villains in a world of cowboys. So like a whole Western frontier style kind of thing.
Yeah, see, that would be cool.
Oh, yeah. That would be fantastic. All right, I think in this case, I really want to show off that like his arms could turn into different things. So like his transforming matter ability would actually affect the way that his arms could look. Earth technique. It's like Earth arm. That would actually be really cool. Mr. Fisher character should be named not Black Dynamite. We got just throwing ideas because light would be considered a unique element. That is, you're not wrong because light is an element and elemental control. Again, that's why you keep it very generic in title. Speaking of Westerns, the rattlesnake villain with a Gatling gun from that one movie was underrated. Oh, Rango. Yeah, that was a good movie. I like that. He looks like a boxing. So earth. Yes, that is true. So my character does look like he is boxing, so he would use like the earth element. But I probably might want to show off like other things as well. Probably make it look like hot rocks or something like that. Maybe it's like fire and earth at the same time. So I think probably getting this down. Oof, look at that. Very, very interesting. And then, okay, I actually like that a lot because usually I would try my best to show off the whole character. The one thing I need to learn when I make comic covers is that I don't have to show off the character. Like I don't have to show off their entire body. Whenever I do a cover, I always want to show every aspect of the character to be like, oh, I can do this. Because I think some notable examples here are, if I can find them right here. For instance, when I did Side Beast for the first time, very much just did a full body, just showing off the character. I wish I showed off her transforming into animals. Radiant Knight was a really cool one just because I got to show off like the magic circles and that he's a space wizard and stuff like that. Primal Empire was a really fun one. But again, you get to see the fact that you see all of him in it. Same thing with Shelbyville, showing off just showing her off all from head to toe kind of a thing. The American Eagle and, the Cougar villain that we did for that, again, show them all head to toe. Same thing with Scarlex. I don't show his toes, though, because he's trying to keep those in private. But, again, there is one thing I wish I did show off.
See his toes.
Exactly. But there is one thing I would love to is probably like to show his body weapons because I didn't really do that in this one. Birds of a Feather, I think this is the case where I didn't have to show off all of them, complete head-to-toe type situations, but I want to show as much of that character. Honestly, I would love to work on Birds of a Feather plus, your rendition of the American Eagle. Like, building up that cyberpunk universe would be a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And then now we have... I really needed to write that down. Dang it, what was it? Soul Wave? Yeah, Soul Wave. There we go. Got it. Soul Wave. Loving this design. So far, this was a really fun. Mr. Fish, what do you think of this episode? What do you think? Do you think we more or less got to finally draw out some really fun concepts for Roll for Here? Do you think this was a really good potential, end? But not a potential.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think
I think we got to come up with some really cool stuff. And honestly, I really like this character. The more I'm thinking about him, the more I'm thinking he could make a really interesting book about this dude. Like we've seen a lot of the like supernatural private eyes or, the supernatural vigilante who's trying to save the world from the oncoming apocalypse and nobody will listen to him. But like to be like a working class dude who's on the front lines of the apocalypse night after night, doing your job, trying to make the world a better place, trying to save people as best you can when you're in way over your head, I think is a beautiful idea that I can't think of has been done in that way before. But that's just it. Ideas are a dime a dozen. You can get everybody's got ideas, but it's what you're going to do with it and how you're going to bring it to life that's going to make it different from anybody else's version. Now, if your version is this is my Batman and his costume's it's green instead of black and he's frog themed instead of bat and that's it, maybe that's not enough to make it interesting. But if you've got some cool new take on something and you want to do it in a new original way, I'm all about it. I'm always looking for something weird and new that I haven't seen before. And supernatural EMTs, that's right up there, man. This is something I never would have come up with on my own had it not been for this random roll. And then something randomly that you said as we were thinking up their origins and like how they came to be and whatnot. And that spurred me down this path, man. Without y'all asking questions and without him answering them and without the random roll of the dice and roll for hero, wouldn't have this dude, which is probably going to end up as a freaking book at some point because it got a feeling about
this could be, not going to lie, this could be an offshoot of like the Green Zone. Because again, it takes place in a world filled to the brim with aliens and monsters and everything else in between. So the fact that this could be like an offshoot of that. Maybe the Green Zone characters end up crossing over with him. And he's like, look, can you like Genome just get out of the way for just 5 seconds? Let me just take care of this whole situation over here. It's like, hey, I thought we were on the same side. No. I'm already a registered person here. I was a human and I got this weird wizard stuff going on.
Hey, you look fireproof. You handle that dude over there. I got this.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
Again, roll for hero. I love this show. I mean, again, I wasn't ever thinking on drawing a character of this caliber, but here I am. I'm just not working on the cover. I'm just kind of minding my own thing right here. Maybe next season I'll stop doing, the typical standing pose and I'll actually get them in proper positions. Is he making the Bruce Lee face? That was the intention. That was the intention to do the whole like kind of a face, but I don't know how to do the kind of mouth movements. That was the intended goal there. See,
also you need cool lines when changing his elements, like earth armament, stone fist, or fire armament, flame fist. That would be cool. That's always fun to me. That's one thing that like mangas and anime have, like the calling out your special moves. Like it's a total like pro wrestling kind of thing, but I love it. It's so much fun. And like a friend of mine does a manga, Rocket Driver Yubi, and this kid finds out that he's this robot fighting machine. He doesn't know that except for he has these handles on his back. But when the right person grabs a hold of him, he turns into this fighting machine. And as they beat other rocket drivers and their robots, they get these power-ups and stuff. And once they got this like gold star, and there's this star-shaped hole in his back, and when he puts that in, all these power-ups kick in. Anytime Yubi pulls out that star, man, I'm freaking cheering. He is totally like, telegraphing the move he's going to do. Wouldn't work in a real fight, but I freaking love it. I get so excited every time I see him like pull out one of those things. It's like, oh snap, it's fixing to go down. I love that stuff. That's fun, man.
Oh yeah, that is a blast. And I think the reason why for animes and mangas they always tend to shout out the power moves is number one, iconism, just to make it so iconic whenever they do their battles and whatnot. And also because realistically there is, I guess in a way they're not really saying it, but it's like a type of super move. Like again, Monkey D. Luffy from One Piece always has the gum, and then he'll do something crazy. Now, in the live action show that they did, they always made him say gum and made him do something stupid, which I thought was hilarious, and it's very fitting for Luffy. But for some people, they don't need to shout it out. They could be like, oh, this would be like, oh, time for me to pull a move like Onigiri, like what Zoro does whenever he uses his swords and stuff like that. I watch One Piece. I know it a little bit. I forgot which arc I stopped at. That's been a while. That's a show and then some.
Which, and having the character call it out to himself is fine too. But, the calling it out loud, that's just awesome. But also, like you were saying, to the building it as an iconic aspect part of it, like it helps cement that move in your brain. It helps remind the reader, like if you're a new reader or a first time reader or an old, experienced reader, it reminds you, hey, this is what that move's going to be. It builds up that excitement in you that, oh, he just called it out. Now he's fixing to lay the smack down. Like it's like ringing a bell before dinner for a dog. Like it's training you to get excited that this move's fixing to go down. And that's awesome.
Ooh, wait, hold up. This one's Benji got a really good one. Mr. Fish's character is in the same world as Mr. Hyde / Invisible Man's character, while Mr. E's character fights the Franken monster werewolf character.
That's a pretty cool idea. I could absolutely see them all in the same world for sure.
Oh, wait, I got a better idea here. Ready? So because the green zone is filled to the brim with like superheroes and supervillains and monsters, kaijus, everything else in between, imagine if my character here, imagine if Soul Wave somehow bumped into your EMT character in the middle of a supernatural fight, and these two just now have to be like, you got to be kidding me. And, like the EMT guy's just like, you capes and spandexes, can you just not for 5 seconds? I got a supernatural matter here that I got to take care of, and you're over here looking all...
Okay, Dadpool, if you need help naming your zebra character with energy projection powers, and you've got him colored like cotton candy blue and pink color palette, I'm thinking Fruit Stripe. I mean, maybe you're not old enough to remember Fruit Stripe gum, but that's what I'm thinking, because you had all the like neon colored zebras with all the different stripes for all the different flavors and stuff. It's stupid, but I think it's funny. Maybe it would be deemed
awesome,
inconsiderate now, but I think it'd be funny.
All right. I'm just kind of getting onto the cover of this. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish this anytime. Well, I mean, who knows? I might be able to just do the line art, but maybe I might make this character into his...
I should be doing more. I just got to talking and quit drawing. That was the inspiration for his colors. I'm telling you, Deadpool. I'm telling you, man. I see you, dude. I know what you're talking about.
Man, I love this.
Oh, that's funny. I can't wait to see the image.
I really can't wait to see it either. Honestly, I love this show so much. I love the creativity that you guys have. And I'm not just saying this to be all motivational and anything of that kind of way. I genuinely, there is so much creativity, and this shows me that AI isn't going to be taking over anytime soon. We have amazing and creative people that are simply taking the dice rolls, helping us come up with some crazy characters, coming up with crazy characters themselves. I love this show so much. I kid you not, I even tell my coworkers at work, I'm like, oh, it's Wednesday. I get to go stream. I get to draw something crazy, weird, wacky, and random. I love this show. I love being a part of this. Never in my entire life have I ever thought I was going to team up with an amazing mentor, one who has obviously done this as his living, who continues to do this as his living, partake in being in a show where we just roll dice and just draw, make jokes, and have fun, and having all of y'all in the process. And again, if you guys want to see more stuff like this, please if you guys think that this show deserves more of that kind of praise, please show this to your friends, show this to that artist that you probably know. Be like, hey, these two weird uncles draw really cool superheroes using dice and imagination, and you should totally partake in it too. Let's get Roll for Hero moving, guys. Let's make this make this a cultural impact in the world, man. You would marry the show, Mystery? Yes, I would marry this show. If it was a woman, I would marry it. But I am currently engaged to a very wonderful living person as of this moment who just texted me. Love that fiance. Gotta love fiance. Gotta love it. Anyways.
I looked up Striposaurus.com and I'm getting banding, bar, border, striation. Yeah, that's not gonna do it. Ribbon candy would be funny, but that wouldn't really match up so well. Candy stripe is funny. I like that. I like candy stripe. Um, I tell you, thesaurus.com is my favorite place for coming up with name ideas because I will type in like what is one of their main motivations or their main power or something defining about this character's characteristics, and then I will look at all the synonyms under there, and then I will start like chasing rabbits, and I'll click on one of those and see synonyms for that word, and then click on one of those and see synonyms for that word. And eventually you'll get really far off a field and you'll have to come back. But eventually I will end up hitting on something that sounds really cool and usually will inspire me to a good name, just by looking for words that mean the same thing as. Like, I created a jumping character who's absolutely just a ripoff of the original Captain Britain. Not even a good ripoff. Like, it just looked like I drew Captain Britain badly originally. And I wanted him to be a jumping character, and so I looked up words, and I ended up naming him. Originally, I named him Boundervault, which was stupid. I thought it sounded British, so I named him Boundervault. But Vault ended up being his name sticking, and I really liked that. I liked that character a lot. I've redesigned him a few times since then, so he's not just Captain Britain, but yeah. But it comes up with good stuff, man. I'm telling you, thesaurus.com. Look it up. Have some fun.
And get some education on the way because you're learning how to say a word in different ways.
Yeah. Let's see.
Imagine a pelican hero, a canary hero, and a blue jay hero, or a cardinal hero. Basically, we're just at this point. I might as well just take all these bird characters and just make a whole, basically Jetman, but just do it differently. You know, the Jetman Sentai series is just have at it with those. I mean, funnily enough, I am actually looking into because I do have like an Power Rangers. Come again? Sorry, I didn't get that.
EMT. I typed in doctor and I got Mystic would be awesome.
Ooh.
That would be
call the double M's.
Yeah.
They call them the double M units, the Mystic Meds or the Mystic Medics. That's a pretty good one.
That's how I came up with the name Hightail for my alien speedster with cheetah attributes. Absolutely.
That is actually wow. Oh wait, hold on. Is that who I think it is? It's the fiance. She's officially come to save the show. Oh man! And here we thought we were struggling. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, struggling.
We was down to 8 viewers till fiance showed up.
Oh yeah, no, we were just having a struggle and then some. Say hi, fiance.
Hi, fiance.
Gotta love fiance popping in onto the show. So yeah, Mystic Medic. I really like that name. I love Mystic Medic.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, my love. Thankfully, I was able to, use another thing here because my laptop was on the verge of death. Benjamin Neil 8050 says hi, fiance. Gotta love it. Oh man, this is a fun episode. We get fiance here on the season finale.
Season finale.
Season finale.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there was just nowhere else to go this season after that. We jumped the shark,
Oh man, this is a lot of fun. Loving where we're going with this. Drawing these covers sometimes reminds me of this one show, this Korean superhero cartoon show called Hero Inside. And if anyone doesn't know what it is, I don't blame you. It's like a really obscure show, but basically it's like these people can get, like, if you have a high enough of an imagination, and depending on like these comic books that are made, you can summon a hero from the comic book that they're about. So like if you get like a comic book of like Batman, if you have a high enough of an imagination, you can spawn Batman out of those books in a weird way. But you know, of course it had like its really weird set of characters, and it's not like the typical American ones. They have like such really funny, really whacked out, weird looking kind of characters and whatnot. So that was something interesting. So whenever I draw the covers, though, because the covers had to be very generic enough to show off the characters and how cool they were. Sometimes that's what I feel like I'm doing whenever I'm drawing these characters for Roll for Hero, just so that they were generic enough, you know, but really cool to where like it grabs your eye and you're like, oh, that's a pretty cool comic cover. If it was a book, I would read it, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
What's it called? So the big payoff. Just last week, Pigeon Forge is just another member of the Birds of a Feather. At that point, we just got to start making that a whole hero team in it of itself. Just call it the Birds of a Feather, and it's just all bird adjacent characters.
Which wouldn't be that hard to come up with some more. I mean, I've got several
What's up, though?
I mean, several characters I did for the Mighty Caw. One of them I'm really anxious to show off in something. Her name's Sparrow, and I just think she came out awesome looking. And when I wrote her bio for the source book, she came out way crazier than I expected. Like she's dangerous, and I dig it. I can't wait to use her.
Sparrow. That's all I can think of whenever I hear Sparrow. I think of how people say Captain Jack Sparrow. Sparrow, how dare you?
All right, let's see.
Captain of the Black Pearl. I guess one of my favorite things, though, when I get to draw rocky textures, that I can actually be messy and it will be socially acceptable to have a really messy looking arm.
That is true.
You know, it's the one time where I can actually be a little bit messy, a little bit, you know, loose with it, and I don't have to care as much because it's a rocky arm, so it's not like a definitive pattern for it, unless it's animation. And then if it's that, then I'm very sorry to the animators who would have to draw that all the time.
Oh yeah, like I could not imagine having to draw like the Thing in animation, which is probably why he always comes out looking so bad in animation, because you know, getting that to look good and consistent from several angles, I cannot imagine what a pain in the butt that must
Honestly,
be.
I think it's just more like they just flatten out his character, so he doesn't really have any defined muscles. It's just that he's a very, like, again, his arms are like just giant tubes in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Which honestly, it kind of plays into a benefit into that design of the character. What do we got? Welcome back, Doggone Comics. Welcome back. I mean, you're still here for the fun season finale of Roll for Hero Season 1. The season finale, not the series finale. We're still continuing on the show. This show ain't going nowhere yet.
Oh, yeah. We still got a lot more crazy stuff to come up with. Like, I'm assuming Mystic Medic has to work with somebody on that ambulance. So, oh, that would be an interesting thing to do for an episode 2, to like randomly roll up one of our former characters and then have to come up with a character that is adjacent to them. Could be a villain, could be a sidekick, could be a girlfriend, or you know, their old aunt that's always getting in trouble and they have to go save, but like, you know, design up somebody connected to them in that world. That would be a fun thing to do when we do like a whole universe, you know, like, okay, this is so-and-so's brother. And, you know, maybe it's a villain, maybe it's a hero, maybe it's, you know, whatever.
Oh, man, that probably would have been a better idea for a finale concept there. Because, I mean, it calls back to one of our characters from beforehand, and we get to expand on that. Who knows?
Oh, that would be a cool finale, though. Like, get to go back and pick one of our favorite characters that we did something with and add to that. Get to play that up. Whoops, that's not what I meant. I didn't mean that one. I meant this one. There we go. Get to flesh it out more, do something else with it that we didn't get the chance to do before.
Oh yeah, that would
Because
be
that's my problem, honestly. If I'm not being paid to do it, it's kind of hard to find time to do it. Unfortunately, because bills got to get paid and whatnot. Fiance knows what I'm talking about.
Right, fiance.
Right.
Oh man, I'm loving this. So probably next season, I'll definitely start spicing up the posing, because whenever I draw a character, I always want to make sure I just draw them in the basic standing pose, so then at least I get the idea for their design. That's how I just design my characters. Whenever I decide to once I have an idea for a story or a comic, I want to design their suit first and the way that they look, so then that way I can use that as a reference, so I can keep up with it consistently. Never really get the opportunity to fully draw them on poses on Roll for Hero. I think the only person I did that with was Scarlix, just because the design was kind of already super simplified. And I like how you kind of do that little thing with the background. You get to add the name to it. It looks like a proper trading card of some kind. Like, I love the idea of it being a trading card, or like how that would, it has that kind of a fun appeal to it,
Mm-hmm. I just randomly did it one day, and I really liked it, and I stuck with it.
I think you started off with Feast, I believe, when you did that.
Oh man, I started doing it so long ago, with just like characters I was purely doing for TikTok and stuff, just or no, actually it was characters I was just doing to have for like posts on Facebook back before TikTok, and just coming up with something that made it look cool and like put the character's name in it, and I just liked the way it came across, and I've stuck to it ever since. Sometimes coming up with something for it is a little bit harder, but sometimes I don't have a great idea for what it's going to be, and then other times I'm like, oh yeah, rock texture would go really good there, or like honestly, what I really want to do is just a cool image of like the city behind him. I don't have one that I've done. Let me see.
Also Mark the Shark asked, do you guys plan to do their villains as well? I mean, I think that's also dependent on what else we would do. Like with my character, he would probably have an enemy here and there, but with Mr. Fish's character at the moment, he's like a magical EMT guy. So he's kind of like, his enemies are whoever he would have to encounter when trying to save someone's life.
Yeah, I mean, he would definitely come up against monsters and things, but not per se a villain like American Eagle would have villains. People actively trying to hunt him down, which I guess EMT would probably end up with some people that hated him, but not more monster of the week than regular
villain.
Persistent.
Yeah, more monster of the week, not villain of the week.
Yeah. Oh, there's big.
There we go. Let me see. Super powered Repo Man. It's not even a super powered Repo Man. Just use the Repo bots from the game Repo, and then just make that into a full blown character right there. And getting yourself all comfy back there, hon?
Well, that just made it all worse.
Retro. Alrighty.
Yeah, that's not going to work. So, all right, I'm going to print something then.
Alrighty then. We got ourselves this right over here. Just got to clean up some stuff here and there. But Mr. Fish's character would be in a fight with the Invisible Hyde character. Or not, it's not a question, but like he would be in a fight with the Invisible Hyde character. Mr. Fish, how would you answer that?
I think that would be a cool fight right there. I mean, I think he'd probably, I don't know. I would think he would have enough ability to, protect himself to keep from getting totally smushified. But I would say he's got to have some skills to be able to pull off his job. So I would think he could handle himself. I don't know. That's a good question. Okay, that's spraying. I don't want spraying.
I think that's one of those other little like what if scenarios and whatnot. Man, we have so many ideas too to do. Like obviously, for me, I believe in the idea of like no character goes to waste in my opinion, right? Which is really like hard because I know that with Mr. Fish, he has so many character designs and so many things, but he's working on so many books. But it's like I would love to genuinely work on at least one of these as like a little mini comic of some kind. And we were kind of making conversation about that and to seeing where that goes, like what would be the potential outcome, like for instance trying to do what if like Oak Fang and Slate Stonecarver finally met and like would they fight each other, like how would that interaction go down, like how would all that look?
I think there's a lot of fun potential in there for doing some cool stuff. Let's see. No, that's wrong blue.
Alrighty, there we go. Boom. Not a perfect fist logo, but it's a nice little fist logo regardless. Fist in the sun. There we go. Now I can put that right there. I think if I take out all that, it's not too shabby. Not too shabby indeed.
Man, that's what I get for working on the wrong computer. I don't know why fiance didn't tell me I was working on the wrong computer.
Yeah, come on, fiance. What's going on?
Huh?
Well, exactly.
Exactly. Nothing better to say for herself. Huh? I have all these cool assets and stuff made, but they're all on the other computer.
Not on the other computer.
One of these days, I've got to learn to stop and make myself upload all my new brushes and stuff I've made on the other computer in the last 6 months or whatever, and then back that up to Clip Studio and then download it onto this one. So I have them all in both places, but I keep forgetting until I'm actually in here doing it. And it was the same thing when I moved from this computer to my tablet before this laptop. Like I did the same thing. I was constantly regretting not having access to all those little tools. And where is it? There it is.
So everybody, if you had to take a lesson from that, make sure to back up your stuff. So then that way it doesn't bite you in the butt again.
Exactly.
I'm actually liking the way this came out. This kind of reminds me of how I used to draw with my old way of doing it. My old way of doing it was very different. Anyways, because I know what I'm talking about. I'm an expert at yapping. This is usually the hard part, trying to maintain the audience as we are in the process of drawing. All right, let me see.
Yeah, it can be tough to keep the talking up while.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you guys got anyone in the chat got any questions, comments, concerns, more concerns than comments and questions, and more questions than anything else that I was just mentioning? Please let us know. We got some stuff we would love to discuss. It's the season finale. Any suggestions you guys got out there? Anything that you want to ask us in the off chance that we might have the answer to? Please shoot a question, shoot a something, anything. Don't leave us dry out here.
Why isn't that working?
It's a very good question. I'll get back to you in 3 to 5 business days.
All right, let's try this.
Let's get that out of the way. Perfect. Now we get to the fun part, which is actually coloring these characters out. So let me actually do this. Actually, make sure I definitively create a good. Oh, I hate that's too thick of a line.
All right. Here.
Keep myself there, and then boom, 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 and here we go. Adding in the white to the one and only thing that needs white, apparently, because I just realized that everything is a blue. Everything else is a different kind of blue. All right, hold on. What we got over here? Oh, that's a really good question, Dadpool. Did anyone else in the chat make a character? And if y'all made a character, please use the hashtag #RollForHero. That's ROLL, the number 4, and HERO to let us know or to show us those amazing character concepts, because we would love to just show those off here on the show. I would love to do an entire episode where we just get to just show off all the amazing artwork that y'all managed to produce. And you think we're joking? And I'm known to be funny to an extent. It's the reason why I have a fiance. How are y'all doing? Wait, how are you guys going with your comics? Mr. Fish, any context for that question right there? Any answer to that?
I just sent issue 3 of Alice Lost in Wonderland to the printer. I'm waiting. I should get the digital he's going to email me images and stuff of the actual printed comics that he made for the proof copies, because we're still getting over the last tales of being sick, and I don't want to risk taking it out to anybody else, so I'm not going to actually go there and see him in person. So he's going to email me pictures of it. I'm going to look it over and approve it, yay or nay. And then hopefully the books will be finished printing in a couple of days. I still have to make all the T-shirts. I have to trim some bookmarks up. I need to finish up the mini comic and get them printed. But everything should be shipping out pretty soon. I was hoping to get another book out this week or this year, but I decided I'm going to have to bump it back to next year, because I don't want to be running a Kickstarter in December, and I won't run a Kickstarter without having finished this one. So it is what it is. We're gonna roll with it, and we're gonna be cool about it. You got me, Dadpool. We ain't gonna make anybody feel bad because they didn't get out an extra book. I'm actually kind of freaking out because I counted, and I've only worked on I'm working on my 10th book for the year. And last year I worked on 23 books. And so I'm kind of panicking. That's a lot of books to have worked on in 1 year. And 2 of them I just lettered. One of them I think I might have just colored, if I remember correctly. So, I mean, there's a little bit of an asterisk on that number. I didn't pencil, ink, and color and letter everything. But still, that was a lot of books. And I feel like I'm behind or something. I haven't done enough because I've only got 10 books right now that I've worked on, which is weird. That's a weird way to be hard on myself for no reason. But
And as for me and the comics of my side of things, The Unbeatables is still on its planned schedule for every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So you guys can get one page every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Webtoons. It is the story of 6 superpowered individuals that come together to create a team that's so strong and so powerful, they're practically, what their team name is. After, of course, the world's greatest super team, the Ultra 5, was defeated and destroyed, and from there, their day was simply known as the Dark Day, the day that the Ultra 5 has fallen. But then also I got some other ideas in the works too. So I mean, I do have some ideas for like creating little mini comics, or in this case, little ash can comics and stuff. One of those comics is called Grub. It's like a bug-based kind of hero, kind of like Spider-Man, but it's based off of a grub. Little. It's like the caterpillar stage for beetles. Weirdly enough. What else we got? Anyways, Dapple said I made a character today, and I'm calling Hunger Strike, which is basically a fat guy that gets hangry, and his powers grow with his hunger and even more as he burns through fat and eventually muscle. Ooh, those are some killer consequences there.
Oh, that's a wild idea.
See, that is some creativity that we need to see on the show. Would be interesting to see characters like
seeing the character fight against supernatural characters like Clown Demon and Ghost Shark. That's good ideas. Those are good ideas. Like, I kind of see it as like a mix between like, an EMT, show and like Scooby-Doo a little bit. Like, oh no, some bad guy, some monster's attacking, we got to go save the day and get to the bottom of it and get rid of, whatever it is. I think there's some cool potential in there. All right, let's see now.
Gotta disconnect the Bluetooth. Sorry about that, everybody. Got some Bluetooth adjacent stuff kind of going on here. It doesn't seem to be connected at all. Sorry, hon. Don't know what the situation there is. No problem, hon. All right, there we go. Now I'm going to draw some green fire because I think that would be kind of cool. Probably get to play with these other, fun element concepts. You know what? That's not looking like the way that I was expecting it to. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Who knows? You know what? Maybe just gotta wing it on this one. You gotta add those little sound effects, those little whooshes and swooshes. Helps you get a better idea as to. Let me see. Is there any ongoing trademark heroes that y'all would love to get y'all's hands and reinterpret? Example: Stan Lee's Justice League. Ooh, okay. So it's basically like, what character would we want to take and kind of do our own thing with?
Mm-hmm.
That is an excellent question. I mean, there's a lot of characters, though. I mean,
yeah, there's so many characters that would be fun to do.
Personally, I think for me, just because of the frustration that I have with how Marvel's been treating him, just Spider-Man in general, like just to make him happy, have a proper, I think it's my problem with Marvel and DC is the fact that they are companies. They're gonna milk these characters till they are drier than bones in the desert, But it's like, I would love to like reinterpret Spider-Man in particular, not just because he's like everyone's favorite superhero character, but it's the fact that I want to tell a proper completed story that anyone could dive into. Like, we don't need to have like 17,000 years of lore about, a kid getting bit by a radioactive spider and then him fighting crime and weird, wacky villains. Like, I would love to just tell a plain, simple story. Do a villain of the week style first, but maybe the villain of the week style kind of method ends up incorporating itself into, his life, as it should, But I would love to primarily Spider-Man just because I want to tell a proper beginning, middle, and end to his story, and then to show off that he can actually have a good life, because for some people, they can relate to actually wanting to settle down, have kids, have a, life and everything else in between, It's also because that's the thing that I aspire to have, and seeing the ultimate Spider-Man in this current comic run have that is very inspiring, because it's like, oh, if he can have it, so can I.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm with you on that. It would be nice to get to see him be able to be happy and not have to always suffer. But then also, that's kind of the gig when you're doing these kind of stories, So
Yeah, unfortunately. But if I also had to do one other character, I think in particular, It would have to be an X-Men, but I really don't know which kind of X-Men. Or probably just the X-Men in general. I guess just to like refine their lore a little bit, just because, you know, like the lore of the X-Men ties into something greater in terms of like the cosmos and all that kind of stuff, because the X-Men are weird like that. Sniper Panda, your name sounds like an awesome character idea. Could see Panda Sniper with a bamboo blow dart gun. That's actually pretty funny. And then Absolute Hulk, he says, like probably doing like a reinterpretation of like the Hulk in the Absolute universe. Yeesh. As is, the Absolute universe is dark as it is. I don't think Hulk needs to be any darker. See, this is the kind of colors I really want to start working with. Like, I want to try to find a way to make the most obnoxious colors very bearable, you know? Or like find a way to make them work in a character design to an extent. Because I always love to see like the electric greens being done right. It's just hard because they're so neon, so bright, very difficult sometimes to work with. There we go. Got something kind of going on here.
All right. And then
What do we got going on? Let's see what else we got. There's just nothing else there. Okay, cool. I think I may have gone a little too extra with this little tail here. Let's get that out of the way. That tail of extra fire. Okay. I don't know. I feel like probably just doing this might work just enough. I think I'm probably just trying to make it more excessive, but I think this is probably excessive enough. We lower the opacity. Make it 50%. Put it on the bottom of that layer, so then it still has that kind of impact in color. Or you know what? Let me try something else over here. How's that progress, Mr. Fish? How we doing over there?
It's coming along. I just decided to do my own little quick city backdrop thing, and I really need to turn him off so I can see what I'm doing. Here we go. And now I can come in here.
All right, hold on. We got. Oh, all right. So what is? So is the green his fire? Yes, the green for this guy over here is definitely the flames. Just because I kind of want to experiment a little bit with. I just wanted to experiment a little to see, because honestly, we don't see enough green in like other forms unless the character's like nature based or a villain to an extent. So I kind of want to see more of that to an extent. You know, being played with more. Again, I want to play with other colors. Would be interesting to see a series for the Super Sentai. Wow. Okay, that's a deep cut. You followed my TikTok and you saw that, because there was no other way I would have mentioned it here. I think I may have mentioned it like once or twice here on the YT. But yeah, the Super Saints is definitely an idea. For those that don't know, it's like basically Power Rangers but Christian based, because I think that would be very fun to do. And I really wanted to work on that idea for a while. And it's a series in progress, or it's a series still pending, you know, because I want to make sure I execute the idea right to where I don't make it cringy, but I don't want to misinterpret, you know, God's word, because I don't want to blaspheme the Bible. But that's definitely that's something in the works. And I actually have an idea for like the whole Power Ranger adjacent stuff, and I call it the Ultra Squad. So instead of calling it the Power Rangers, I call it, you know, the Ultra Squad, you know, and it has like other names in there as well. Like Ultra Squad, you know, Primal Fury, the Ultra Squad, Hyper Hive, Dream Protector, so on and so forth.
That
Yeah.
was my one problem. I used to do a Christian-based comic for our church, and it. My goal originally was to be able to like give it away for free so that people could um, make print up their own copies and like put their church's address on the back of it and give them out as freebies and whatnot, and use it as like an outreach device, something fun to give away to the kids and stuff.
Yeah.
And but it very quickly realized that no matter what I did in that comic, somebody somewhere was going to get mad about it. And the fact that the characters had powers at all was going to make people mad. The fact that they were in superhero type suits was going to make them mad. The fact that they flew through outer space was going to make them mad. Like it was all like space based superheroes going from like planet to planet, whose names were all like puns or references to Bible books or whatever. But like they can't come in contact with any aliens, or that's going to make people mad over here, and they can't do this or they can't do that. And eventually I just realized there was no way I could scale it up and make it the big thing to give away that I was hoping to make it be, because there's just no end to the way people are going to gripe about things. And that took all the fun out of it for me, and that's a shame.
Yeah, and I guess it's just like, I think that's also where my mentality comes from it. And then or what would happen when he starts transforming his arms? Or else, all right. Or what happens when he starts transforming his arms? I guess it's just for Soul Wave over here. I think it's just whenever he transforms his arms, he basically just kind of like uses like a command code, again, anime style, just being like, like from the earth, my arms are as strong as stone, or some junk like that. And the same thing when it comes down to other ideas. And then you're right, Benjamin. I genuinely forgot I made a video talking about the Super Saiyans when I did like a quote unquote like knockoff Power Rangers team. And the Super Saiyans were like my first team that I showed off. And I do plan on that is actually one of the series that I have a lot of like ideas for, loving the idea of like making basically Power Rangers, but Christian based. It fits, Power Rangers fought demons before. It's a very fitting concept. So that's more or less the idea that I have going on there. Definitely want to dive into that. Forgot I made that video too. Downside is that I'm not getting monetized off that because the music was, off kiltered. I might make a revamp on that video. And then also I might start an entire series where I get to talk about all of the different, like not knockoff Power Rangers ideas, but like getting to create like my very own Power Rangers adjacent universe that I call the Ultra Squad universe, because I have all the different titles in the works. It's just a matter of coming up with the different villain types and trying to come up with Ranger suits that don't copy, Super Sentai, because if we struggled with just creating superheroes in America and unintentionally making them like Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, Super Sentai got us beat by a long shot. They took every pattern, they took every, like color scheme you can imagine. They took the rainbow and then some for their overall designs.
Yeah, every geometrical shape, every color, every animal, everything has already been done.
Especially in Super Sentai.
That is a tough one to not be like, well, actually, Power Rangers SPD did that, in season 2.
That's a series. That is a series where there is no winning from. Like, you are not winning in that argument there.
Mm-hmm.
Plus the ultra values. And then plus the ultra value turtles you did. That's true. My rendition of the Ninja Turtles, but I called it the Super Action Fighting Turtles or something like that, where they're based off of like different pop cultural things. I think someone in the comments made a really cool idea where it's like, oh, instead of being the Renaissance artist, they're based off of different movies. Like, so one was a sci-fi turtle, one was a Western turtle, the other one was like an adventure seeker. That was a really fun one. Don't forget the Kamen Rider. Ooh, Kamen Rider, man. I have a few ideas, but I don't, because funny enough, the word common, I think, if translated, I think it just means masked rider, like masked rider. So if I was to take Kamen Rider, if I was to make an official knockoff or an ultra value rendition of it, I would probably call it, the Helmet Heroes, or something of that nature, or Beetleborgs. Beetleborgs is still Sentai related somehow, but not. I don't know. It's always strange. I don't know as much about Beetleborgs because I never grew up with that. I grew up with Power Rangers, like a cool 7-year-old does.
Well, I mean, Beetleborgs was before your time.
You're right.
I imagine.
Oh yeah, I mean,
'Cause that was a hot minute ago.
yeah, that is true. And plus, I grew up with Dino Thunder, so I got to at least have some, I got to have some classic Zordon era related, shows there at that moment. Oof, that is
All
really
right.
cool. That is a cool title right there.
What was the night one called? Asked Dadpool. The Helmeteers.
The Helmeteers. That's actually a pretty cool one.
Yeah, that's a good name, Sniper Panda. That's a good name.
Man, I might steal that. We're gonna have to pay you like 2% royalty. 1 penny royalty.
Beetleborgs is on the Roku channel, but it's awesome. I don't know. Awesome might be a strong word. Of course, I was a bit older when it came out, so all of the Power Ranger stuff was kind of silly to me when it came out. I mean, I dug the whole like Japanese vibe of the original shows, and maybe the original like Sentai shows and stuff are kind of dumbed down for kids. I don't know because I don't speak Japanese. But
it's also because
so I can't really get the tone that they're talking to the kids in and stuff per se. But the original Power Rangers like really talked down to the kids, and the characters were real and like when you're 4, that was really exciting. When you were 18, 19 like I was,
it's like, okay, that feels condescending.
And I knew I didn't like Bulk and Skull the first time I was watching it, when it came out. I knew I didn't like those guys beyond just they were comic relief bullies, and I don't like comic relief to start with. But I went back. You doing a series of videos on it, and Ezra doing a series of videos about the Power Rangers and stuff, and TS talking about the Power Rangers, and my buddy Tony from 5 Star Fridays going on and on about the Power Rangers. Like, you know what? I'm going to give this another chance. I'm going to go back from the beginning. I'm going to look at it with an open mind. And I watched like, I don't know, maybe the first season of Power Rangers. And I was really surprised with like how rapey Bulk and Skull are. Like, there's so many instances in that first season where they're just like leering over the girls, like, yeah, we're going to get you where nobody can see you kind of things.
Oy.
And, like, you wouldn't be talking about like that if I took you behind the gym, or, like, and I'm like, that's really nasty. Like, they really come across as like predators in that beginning.
Yeah, the 90s were a time, man. I mean, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I was born in the last year of it.
Oh yeah, I mean they did stuff back then that was tacky and ridiculous, and you couldn't get away with now. So like, I'm not blaming the actors for it, but I'm blaming the writers. Like, the writers could have written better characters that were intimidating without acting so nasty towards the girls in particular. And
yeah,
I think that was unnecessary. And maybe it's just, and it's stuff I'm probably seeing as an adult that the kids probably didn't even get. But why put that in a kid's show? Like, I don't understand why they stick swearing in kids' movies like Shrek. Like, I don't know. I think Shrek would be absolutely as funny without the like 4 or 5 swear words that they slip in there. Like, and they have lots of stuff that's in there that's super funny to adults that kids are going to miss just because like they're not thinking that much about it. But like, why you gotta slip in the swear words? I mean, is there a parent whose kid wants to go see Shrek? Like, I'm not going to go see that movie unless it says "damn" at least twice. Like, who's doing that? Who cares? Why? Why?
I
It
guess
doesn't
just
make
because
sense to me.
for
The
parents,
movie,
they're trying to get their money's worth. Like if you had to look at it from that, corporate perspective, it's like, well, parents are the ones having to spend the money here, so at least they got to get a little kind of kick out of that. But that's just me trying to just playing devil's advocate. I mean, I'm trying, but that's still not.
it just doesn't make any sense to me. And some of it I get. Maybe they said it in a improvised line, and the line was so funny they decided to leave it in, and it didn't work trying to edit that little word out. Maybe uh, Eddie Von B. I was more into Ultraman, Voltron, etc. Power Rangers was just too janky for my taste. I agree. Like freaking Voltron, I freaking loved. Ultraman, I dug. I saw like a lot of Ultraman and like what was his name? Goldon or whatever, the big dude, big gold robot that turned into a rocket. Like that was on TV and reruns all the time when I was like a toddler. I remember eating that up, sitting in my little cloth diapers. Man, I loved that. And then like Battle of the Planets, G Force, or Gotcha Man, I ate that stuff up. Like it could be cool. It just you didn't have to talk down to the kids and make it derpy.
But it's also because like
Um,
censorship too, because you got to keep in mind, like culturally speaking, Japan is Japan, and they got a lot of controversial, like what Americans would deem very
oh,
controversial.
Japan's weird.
Yeah, Japan's weird. Period. The end. But we love them for that to an extent.
I mean, I love weird. Yeah, some of their weird, no, you can have it. But I dig weird. But yeah. But I definitely applaud their love of animation, and they're treating it with respect, and making stuff that everybody in the family can enjoy watching, which that's my thing. There's no reason that any show has to be like so stupid for a kid to be able to enjoy it, or or so mature and graphic that your kids can't watch it with you. Like, I mean, and granted, I grew up in the late 70s, 80s, so like I would sit there watching TV with my folks in the evening, and we only had the choice of like 3 shows to watch, so the whole family was going to watch whatever. You couldn't specialize, and everybody didn't have their own TV in their own room and stuff like that,
Mm.
like we do now. But like we could all sit around and enjoy the Fall Guy, and it was cool, or Dukes of Hazard or Knight Rider. And yeah, Knight Rider got a little goofy and a little kitschy and stuff, but it was what it was. I mean, it was a show that my dad loved watching and I loved watching, and we all enjoyed it. And there were a couple of jokes. Like I remember one time, Michael Knight sitting in Kit, and he's looking at the lady that does the maintenance on Kit, and he's like, "Man, I'd love to know what's under those overalls." And then Kit starts listing off a list of like how tall she is, how much she weighs, how much water's in her body, how much blood is in her body, how much her bones weigh. And he's like, "That's not what I'm talking about." And like that was funny. He was making like an adult joke that I didn't get what he was talking about. But when Kit came back with that answer, I laughed and thought that was hilarious.
He's like, oh, he's talking about
And
other things that isn't what it is.
we went from Roll for Hero to talking about retro shows. Absolutely. Because we can go off the rails anytime we want to.
This is true, and I'm actually
I
liking
love
the cover that I
Dukes
got
of
so
Hazzard
far.
with my dad when I was growing up. Yeah, and again, like it wasn't super serious, and they did goofy stuff that doesn't make sense sometimes, but it was fun. It rode that line between being fun enough for the kids to be able to enjoy it and have fun with it, and not so goofy that the parents couldn't have fun with it and watch it. And I think that's a fun place to try and do entertainment.
Roll
Now,
for it.
granted, my books got bloodier than I expected them to get. I really didn't expect them to be so bloody, but like one of them's a bird barbarian who's the deadliest man in the galaxy. He's going to cut some people in half. And when, my new book, Alice, is about her being the deadliest bounty hunter, well, some people are going to get shot. And it's not super, super graphic, but like there's a lot more blood in it than I expected there to be in the book when I started. But still, it's nothing that I don't think, that I couldn't watch with my family or my grandkids. Though granted, my grandkids, have grown up watching The Walking Dead with their parents, so they might be a little desensitized. But it's, I don't know. I think you can make it interesting and make it fun without having to be
raunchy or like
really nasty or really dumb.
Yeah.
Roll for retro, says Dadpool. Welcome to my Friday show, Roll for Retro, where me and Dadpool get together and we roll up a random set of prompts and a random TV show to stick them in. I love it. Retro heroes, characters based on and inspired by different decades trying to work together to save Gen Alpha from themselves. That would be funny. Oh, man. It'd be interesting to see a collab for the comics with artists like Drellix and Xanderflix, like maybe an amalgam universe style crossover.
Oh my gosh. Especially Xanderflix. I actually managed to I just shot him a message just because I think it was during when TikTok was about to be shut down. And Xanderflix is really known. He's well known here on YouTube for creating a comic called Bullet Boy. It's one of his original creations. Really, really good stuff. It has like that early 2000s kind of a cartoon vibe. It feels like something that would be airing on. The comic looks really interesting. I have yet to get it myself, but it's a really, really nice comic and stuff. But yeah, I mean, more or less, I think I kind of got all this done over here. Yep. Hold on, let me see. I'm probably sorry if I could do blue instead. Make that kind of pop a little bit. There we go. Oh, that was a good choice. Using blue to help it pop. There we go. And I'm officially completed with my cover. This is actually crazy how I managed to finish it all within the stream. Less than 3 hours, but how to design a character. But this is Soul Wave.
We're pushing, but
we're pushing.
Still under 3 hours.
Pushing. But I had a blast putting this character together. This is Soul Wave. Love the design. It's very simplistic, and I think that's why I like it so much. I can see this being like a character in its own little a mini series, a little mini animated series where he's just fighting off supernatural, mystical villainous threats like Dormammu kind of things, but also being Iron Fist adjacent and whatnot. Mm-hmm. I think this is a really cool character, a really cool way to end off the show or end off this season 1 of Roll for Hero. Mr. Fish, anything else that you like about your character? Anything that you enjoy about, what you've managed to create so far?
Oh man, I am really digging the idea for this character. I'm going to be hard pressed to not write a story for this dude today, but I've got other stuff I got to try and do.
Yeah.
But I really like the idea. I like it so much more than the original idea I had for him. And I like the idea of somebody trying hard to save the day and make a difference and just deal with the crazy crap that's being thrown at them, by the supernatural world, and just be okay, so this is what we got to fix now, and how are we going to figure it out and what are we going to do? I love it. I think it's such a fun idea to make the ridiculous mundane. And and this is just one of the many guys on shift tonight that's coming in to fix stuff. And I think that's an awesome idea. I want to see it come to life.
Oh yeah.
This has been a lot of fun, man. I am glad I asked you to come on my art stream and help read comments and keep it interesting. And I'm so glad it spun off into this and has become its own crazy thing. But I'm digging it, man. It's a lot of fun.
Honestly, doing this for 12 whole episodes, I can't wait for the next 12 and the 12 after. So, guys, I think this might be more or less a good time to end things off because also the fiance is getting kind of a little.
Hey, don't blame me.
Hey, well, hold on. Well, first of all, we're reaching 3 hours. We're reaching 3 hours on this.
He's been texting me for an hour saying, "When will you guys shut up?" And I just keep texting my fiance back.
Hey, listen, I gotta feed you. I'm also hungry too. I didn't eat a lot either, so trust me, we're on the same boat there. But outside of that, though, I actually want to end this video off. I want to end the stream off, but on a bit of a more in-depth note as to my 3 rules. You guys know that I always have these 3 rules: to stay awesome, stay weird, and to keep life to the easiest. What do those mean? Right? Like, number 1, to stay awesome, meaning that be true to you and to make sure that you're going to be that positive force that someone out there really needs. To be that one awesome person that someone can look up to, being like, man, that's an awesome dude. That person knows something, and I want to be a part of that. Because being awesome is exactly that: being inspirational, to being, the person that you can inspire someone to be. Mr. Fish is one of obviously the best inspirational figures because, first of all, he's the world's sexiest man of all time. I gotta aspire to be that. But not only that, he makes comics for a living. He makes this entire career. Now, is it easy? No, not at all. But that is a dream and aspiration that I've always wanted more than anything else, to sit in my house, draw all day, and have a blast coming up with crazy little ideas and try to find a way to work with it. That's what it means to be awesome, to be inspirational, to be the person that someone could look up to and be like, I want to be like that. That's what it means to be awesome. To stay weird is rule number 2. Staying weird is meaning don't be so mundane. Listen, there are going to be days where you're going to have to be on a repeat schedule, and sometimes it's going to have to be a little boring. But adding a touch of weirdness into your life, adding a bit of the strange and the weird aspects of things that nobody really seeks out or whatever, makes you interesting. It makes your day a little bit more interesting. It adds that sense of adventure, that sense of wonder. If we're always living our lives on a continuous repeat schedule, we're going to go crazy on the mundane. But being a little weird, giving yourself that little edge to being a touch like little odd, gives that edge of like, you know what? It's not always going to be a boring, mundane kind of a situation. It gives you that ability to be creative, to be out there. To being weird doesn't mean to just be like, oh, that kind of weird. No, it means to be fun, to be exciting, to give a sense of wonder and joy in your life. And of course, rule number 3, I think it's self-explanatory: to keep life to the easiest. Life is difficult. Life is hard. It'll throw everything at you. And trust me, I have faced the blunt end, and I can imagine Mr. Fish getting hit harder with a lot more. And especially given how we're artists in a day and age of AI, I know it seems really bleak, but sometimes you got to take a step back, take a second to breathe, and just take it easy. Keep it easy. Life's going to throw a lot of hard things at you, but in order to imply that there are hard things in life is to imply that there are the easy things. And hopefully, little by little, you'll easily tackle on those topics and eventually make your way on over to getting to those harder things. You're going to have to start easy in order for things to make your way over to the harder things in life. That's why I say those 3 rules. Those 3 rules are important for that exact reason. So to officially end this season 1 finale of Roll for Hero, everyone out there, make sure to follow these 3 simple rules: to stay awesome, please stay weird, and always make sure to keep your life to the easiest. Now, never forget that the art here, it's great, it's fun, but the art that you make, because remember, this is something I need to remember: art inspires all. Art inspires all of us to do what we do. But it is you, the person watching this video, the person watching this stream, it is you that'll inspire more than all. Think about that. That's like a to infinity and beyond kind of quote. All right. So stay awesome, stay weird, keep life to the easiest, and remember that art inspires all, but you can inspire more. But until then, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in for Roll for Hero, a segment of our shows where we let the dice dictate what on God's green earth we are drawing today. And until then, everyone, stay ultra.
Roll for Hero!
And even if you were to have like a prompt of 10 different things, right? Like say if you had one prompt of like, oh, like here's 10 different personality traits, here's 10 different superpowers, here's 10 different drawbacks.
I like coming up with random list of powers and then just see what I come up with.
Imagine rolling just those things every single time. It's always going to vary. The possibility of that happening is, again, like a 1 in 10 chance, but it's like, it shows that there's
always something else cool right around the corner that we can come up with, because there's no end to the prompts. There's no